They left me to drown, called me worthless, quirkless, nothing. They laughed as I sank beneath the water, choking on their cruelty. But death wasn't the end. I came back, not as the boy they tormented, but as something far worse, an unstoppable force with one purpose: vengeance. Heroes, villains, it doesn't matter anymore. Everyone who stands in my path will learn what true fear means. This is my story, my hunt, my revenge.
Welcome, Legends, to Chronos Recom. I wrote this story myself, so if you have any suggestions or what-ifs you want to see, drop it in the comments below. Also, just wanted to let you know I've got a Patreon set up now for anyone who wants to support the channel directly. You can get early access to stories, submit direct fan requests, and get exclusive content. It's totally optional, but if you want to help keep these stories coming, check it out. Links in the description. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit that bell so you never miss an upload. Let's dive into this story.
The rain fell in sheets that February night, washing blood down the concrete embankment toward the polluted river below. Izuku Midoriya lay broken at the water's edge, his small 14-year-old body a canvas of bruises, burns, and lacerations that told the story of systematic torment spanning years, his left arm bent at an impossible angle. 3 ribs punctured through skin on his right side. His face, once round with childish hope, had swollen beyond recognition, one eye sealed shut, the other barely focusing on the gray sky above. Blood mixed with rainwater in his mouth, drowning him slowly from within. He couldn't remember how many of them there had been. 10? 10? 15? Students from Aldera Junior High, some whose names he'd never learned, others who had once been called friends. They'd cornered him after school, dragged him to this abandoned industrial area where screams went unheard beneath the highway overpass. Quirkless trash. Waste of space. Should have died when you were diagnosed. The words had hurt worse than the first few blows. But after the 20th, the 30th, the 50th strike, words stopped mattering. After Bakugo Katsuki, his childhood friend, his tormentor-in-chief, had used his explosion quirk to sear the flesh off Izuku's left shoulder, even pain became distant. They'd thrown him down the embankment like garbage, because that's what he was to them. That's what quirkless people were to everyone in this society built on superhuman powers. Less than human. Disposable. Izuku's working eye tracked movement above. Shadows against streetlights, his killers watching to make sure the job was done. He tried to call out to beg, but his crushed larynx produced only a wet gurgle. The river rose around him. Not metaphorically. The actual water level increased as the storm intensified, cold and filthy, creeping up his body inch by inch. He couldn't move, couldn't crawl away, could only lie there as the toxic water claimed him. His final thoughts weren't of heroism or forgiveness. They were of rage. Pure, crystalline hatred for every person who had made his life hell. Every teacher who looked away. Every student who joined in or watched silently. Every pro-hero whose bright smile promised protection while doing nothing for victims like him. Every person in this rotten society that measured human worth by genetic lottery. The water covered his face. He choked, convulsed, drowned on rainwater and river filth and his own blood. Izuku Midoriya died that night, unmourned and forgotten. Another quirkless kid who couldn't cut it in the modern world. But death, as it turned out, was not the end. The Musutafu River became a dumping ground over the next 3 years. Industrial waste, construction debris, the occasional body from Yakuza disputes. The area remained abandoned, a dead zone even in a city famous for its heroes. Local legend grew around the stretch of river where Izuku died. Homeless people reported strange sounds, heavy breathing, footsteps that suddenly stopped. A construction worker claimed to see a figure standing in the water at midnight, perfectly still, watching the highway above. Urban explorers posted blurry photos of what might have been a person or might have been shadow standing where the embankment met the river. The disappearances started small. A homeless man, a drug dealer, people nobody missed. Bodies turned up downstream when when they turned up at all, brutalized beyond easy identification. Police attributed it to gang violence or quirk-related accidents. In a world where people could shoot fire from their hands or turn their skin to steel, strange deaths barely rated attention. But something was changing in that dead zone. Something was learning, growing stronger, remembering. In the filthy water where Izuku Midoriya had drowned, something else had been born. The rage that consumed his final moments hadn't dissipated with death. It had concentrated, crystallized, become something fundamental and unstoppable. His body hadn't decayed, it had transformed. Bones that broke now refused to break again. Flesh that tore healed stronger. The toxic water that killed him now sustained him, flowing through dead veins, animating dead muscles with purpose that transcended life. He didn't think anymore, not in words or complex ideas. But he remembered faces, voices, the explosion quirk that had seared his flesh, the laughing crowd that had watched him die. Every single one. On the 3-year anniversary of his death, Izuku Midoriya crawled from the river. His body had changed, grown taller, over 6 feet now, with shoulders broad enough to belong to a pro hero. Muscles built from something other than exercise corded his frame, dense and powerful. His skin had turned gray-white, bloodless, marked with the scars of his death that would never fully heal. His face, his face had become a nightmare of scar tissue and deformity. The left side caved in where his skull had shattered, the right side pulled tight and grotesque. He found the hockey mask in a sporting goods dumpster 3 blocks from the river, white fiberglass with red markings, cracked and discarded. He put it on and felt complete. The mask gave him identity, purpose, a face for the faceless rage that animated his corpse. The old industrial area provided weapons. A machete from a construction site, a fire axe from an abandoned building, a length of chain. He tested each one, felt their weight, understood instinctively how to kill with them. Knowledge that came from nowhere and everywhere, as if death itself had taught him. He stood in the rain. It was raining again, always raining when important things happened, and turned his masked face toward the city lights, toward Musutafu, toward the people who had made him what he was, toward home. Kaido Yamamoto had been one of the background players in Izuku's death. Not a ringleader, not even particularly enthusiastic about the beating. Just another Aldera student who'd thrown a few kicks, landed a few punches, gone home and forgotten about it within a week. He was 17 now, working the night shift at a convenience store near the River District. Dead-end job for a guy whose quirk, the ability to make his fingernails grow 6 inches longer, had proven too weak for hero work and too useless for anything else. He stocked shelves, sold cigarettes to salarymen, and tried not to think about how his life had peaked in junior high. The bell chimed at 2:47 a.m. Kaido looked up from his phone, ready to give the standard greeting, and froze. The figure in the doorway stood motionless, rain dripping from broad shoulders, creating a puddle on the tile floor. Easily 6'2", maybe 6'3". Wore dark, ragged clothes that looked like they'd been pulled from a dumpster. And that mask, white hockey mask with red triangular markings, eye holes revealing nothing but darkness behind them. We're open, Kaido managed, his voice cracking. Can I help you? The figure didn't respond, didn't move. Just stood there, water pooling at his feet, head tilted slightly as if studying Kato with invisible eyes. Do you need something? Kaido's hand drifted toward the panic button under the counter. Something about this felt wrong, deeply, fundamentally wrong. His instincts screamed at him to run, but his body wouldn't obey. The figure took 1 step forward, then another. Movement so deliberate it seemed mechanical, each footfall hitting the floor with weight that shouldn't have been possible from a human body. The fluorescent lights flickered as he passed beneath them. Kaido hit the panic button. Nothing happened. The security company had shut off their service 6 months ago for non-payment, but corporate never bothered to remove the button. He was alone. Look, man, just take whatever you want. Money's in the register. I won't. The figure's hand shot out faster than Kaido could track. Fingers closed around his throat, lifted him off the ground with ease that made a mockery of physics. Kaido's quirk activated reflexively, and his fingernails extending toward his attacker's face, but the grip on his throat tightened, crushing his windpipe before the nails could reach their target. Kaido stared into the hockey mask's eye holes, searching for mercy, for humanity, for anything. He saw only darkness. And in that darkness, something stirred, a flash of green that might have been eyes, or might have been his oxygen-starved brain hallucinating. His final thought, before his neck snapped like a dry twig, "I know you." The body hit the floor. The figure stood over it for a long moment, head tilted, as if listening to something only he could hear. Then he turned and walked out into the rain, leaving the bell chiming behind him. The police would find Kaido's body at shift change. Security footage would show nothing. Cameras conveniently malfunctioned at 2:45 a.m. and didn't resume recording until 3:15. All that remained was a corpse with a snapped neck and an expression of absolute terror frozen on its face, and 5 sets of bloody footprints leading toward the old Aldera Junior High district. Aldera Junior High had changed little in 3 years. Same gray concrete buildings, same chain link fence around the perimeter, same culture of casual cruelty disguised as teenage hierarchy. A new generation of students now walked the halls, but the dynamic remained identical. Those with strong quirks on top, those with weak quirks scrambling for position, and the rare quirkless student enduring hell until they dropped out or worse. Izuku Midoriya, though that name no longer meant anything to the thing he'd become, watched the school from across the street, partially concealed in an alley between abandoned buildings. Daylight forced him to remain hidden, some instinct warning that exposure would bring complications. But night would come. It always did. He'd already marked 3 targets. Students who'd been present at his murder, now older, still attending Aldera, still spreading their poison. Their routines were predictable, their paths home isolated, their quirks ultimately meaningless against what he'd become. The first would be Yoshida Kenji, whose acid spit quirk had melted the skin off Izuku's right forearm during the final beating. Yoshida walked home alone most nights, taking a shortcut through an underpass that ran beneath the commuter rail line. Perfect hunting ground. Dark, enclosed, soundproof when trains passed overhead. Izuku melted back into the shadows as school let out, moving with unnatural silence for something his size. His body had learned stealth instinctively, understanding how to place feet to avoid noise, how to use cover, how to become invisible in plain sight. 3 years of existing in the abandoned industrial zone had honed these skills to inhuman perfection. He reached the underpass hours before Yoshida would arrive, positioning himself in an alcove designed for maintenance access. Waiting came easily. He didn't get hungry, didn't get tired, didn't get bored. He simply existed, a statue of murderous intent, until his prey arrived. Yoshida appeared at 7:23 p.m., backpack slung over one shoulder, phone in hand, face lit by the screen's glow. 17 years old, on the wrestling team, quirk strong enough for potential hero school admission if his grades improved. He had a girlfriend, a part-time job, college applications pending. A whole future ahead of him. That future ended when Izuku's hand closed around his face from behind. Yoshida's scream died as powerful fingers dug into his skull. His quirk activated reflexively, acid flooding from his mouth, sizzling against Izuku's palm. The flesh burned, melted, exposed bone beneath. Izuku didn't even flinch. He lifted Yoshida off his feet, one-handed, watching with detached interest as the boy thrashed, acid continuing to pour uselessly against skin that was already dead, already beyond pain. Yoshida's hands grabbed at Izuku's arm, trying to pull free, fingernails scraping against flesh that felt like cold rubber. A train passed overhead, the rumble shaking the underpass, drowning out all sound. Perfect timing. Izuku slammed Yoshida's head against the concrete wall. Once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5. Each impact left a crater in the concrete, a splash of red, a diminishing of movement. By the 7th impact, there wasn't enough left of Yoshida's skull to maintain structural integrity. The body dropped. Izuku stood over it, head tilted, watching blood spread in a growing pool. His ruined hand, bones visible where acid had eaten through, already began regenerating. Flesh growing back, slow but steady, crawling over exposed bone like living moss. Within an hour, no sign of injury would remain. He retrieved his machete from the alcove. He'd stashed it there hours earlier and drove it through Yoshida's chest, pinning the corpse to the ground, marking his kill. Claiming it. 1 down. Dozens to go. Detective Naomasa Tsukauchi stared at the crime scene photos spread across his desk, a headache building behind his eyes. 2 deaths in 3 days, both brutal, both seemingly random. except his lie detection quirk was screaming at him that nothing about this was random. Same MO his partner, Detective Yamazaki, said, pointing at the photos. Overwhelming physical force, no quirk usage from the killer, victims didn't have time to mount effective defense. The convenience store clerk had his neck snapped with bare hands, Tsukuchi said. Medical examiner said the force required would be consistent with an enhancement quirk. I know. Yamazaki tossed another file on the desk. Problem is, the underpass victim's skull was pulverized against concrete. At least 7 impacts, each one hitting harder than the last. What kind of enhancement quirk gets stronger as it's used? One for all, Tsukauchi muttered. What? Nothing. Just thinking out loud. Tsukauchi stood, walking to the bulletin board where they'd mapped out the crimes. Look at the locations. Convenience store near the River District. Underpass near Aldera Junior High, both within 2 miles of the industrial zone. That whole area's been dead for years. Perfect place for a villain to hide out. Maybe? Tsukauchi studied the photos again. Something about them triggered his quirk, but not in the normal way. Usually, his lie detection activated when someone made a false statement. This felt different, like reality itself was lying to him, hiding something fundamental about these murders. Did we get anything from the convenience store footage? Cameras went down at 2:45 a.m., came back at 3:15. Convenient timing. Too convenient. This wasn't random opportunity. Someone planned it, disabled the cameras, killed the clerk, left without a trace. Tsukauchi tapped Kaito Yamamoto's photo. Run a background check on this victim. School records, employment history, known associates. I want to know everything. You think they knew each other? Killer and victim? I think there's a pattern we're not seeing yet. Tsukauchi's headache intensified. His instincts, honed over 15 years as a detective, were screaming at him that something much worse than random violence was unfolding. And I think more bodies are coming. He had no idea how right he was. Fukuda Aina had been one of the cruelest. Her quirk, emotional manipulation that could amplify negative feelings, had been used extensively during Izuku's torment, turning bad days into suicidal despair, making every insult cut deeper, ensuring his suffering was maximized. She was 18 now, enrolled at UA High School's business course, dating a hero course student, planning a career in PR management for pro heroes. Smart, attractive, successful, the kind of person society rewarded while people like Izuku rotted. She never thought about the quirkless boy they'd killed 3 years ago. Why would she? It hadn't been personal, just the natural order of things, the strong dominating the weak, the valuable eliminating the worthless. Tonight, she walked home from her boyfriend's apartment, taking the scenic route through Musatafu Park, earbuds in, humming along to pop music. The park was safe. Pro heroes patrolled regularly. Crime was virtually non-existent. Perfect place for an evening stroll. She never noticed the figure keeping pace with her from within the tree line. Never saw the way it moved between shadows, always maintaining the same distance, never making a sound despite its size. Never felt the eyes behind the hockey mask tracking her every movement with mechanical precision. The park had a maintenance building near its center, supposedly locked after hours, but the lock had been broken for months. Teenagers used it as a hookup spot. Drug dealers used it for exchanges. Tonight, Fukuda Aina would use it as a tomb. She passed the building, still humming, still oblivious. 3 more steps. 2. 1. Izuku erupted from behind a tree with speed that defied human capability, closing the distance before her quirk-enhanced reflexes could register movement. His hand clamped over her mouth, muffling the scream, lifting her off her feet as he dragged her toward the maintenance building. Fukuda's quirk activated immediately, flooding Izuku with amplified rage, fear, pain. Every negative emotion multiplied 100-fold, enough to break most people's minds. Except Izuku's mind was already broken, had been rebuilt from pure crystallized hatred, couldn't be damaged further because there was nothing left to damage. The emotions washed over him like water over stone. He kicked the maintenance building door off its hinges and carried her inside. She fought. Credit where credit was due, Fukuda Aina fought with everything she had. Her quirk kept firing, her legs kept kicking, her teeth tried to bite through the hand over her mouth. Nothing worked. She might as well have been fighting a mountain. Izuku threw her against the far wall hard enough to crack concrete. She dropped, gasping, and finally saw her attacker properly. The hockey mask. The dead gray skin visible beneath ragged clothes. The machete he drew from a back sheath with casual deliberation. What? What are you? She gasped. He tilted his head, studying her with invisible eyes. Did he recognize her specifically? Or did she simply represent every person who'd made his life hell? The distinction didn't matter. Wait, she said, holding up shaking hands. Wait, we can. The machete took her left hand off at the wrist. Blood sprayed. She screamed. Her quirk fired at maximum intensity, trying desperately to break his mind, to make him feel something. Anything that would stop this. He grabbed her by the throat, lifting her off the ground, watching with clinical interest as she bled out. Her remaining hands scratched at his arm, fingernails drawing furrows in dead flesh that immediately began healing. Her legs kicked uselessly. Her quirk continued firing, continued failing. When the light faded from her eyes, he let her drop. Used the machete to pin her to the wall through the chest, same as he'd done with Yoshida. Marking. Claiming. 3 down. He walked out of the maintenance building, leaving the door hanging crookedly from one hinge. Behind him, blood dripped from the walls, from the machete, from the corpse. Evidence everywhere. He didn't care. Let them find her. Let them know he was here. Let the fear spread. Because fear was just the beginning. Bakugo Katsuki had changed in 3 years, physically at least. He'd grown tall, muscular, his explosive quirk stronger than ever through rigorous training. He'd been accepted to UA High School's hero course, placed first in the entrance exam, earned respect from teachers and classmates alike. Everything was going according to plan. Emotionally, Bakugo didn't do emotions. Didn't think about the past. Didn't dwell on things that couldn't be changed. Didn't think about Deku. Except lately he did. More than he wanted to admit. Ever since the news broke about the murders, 3 bodies in a week, all brutalized, all connected to the industrial river district where that thing had happened 3 years ago, Bakugo told himself it was coincidence. Told himself Deku was dead and gone, washed down the river, food for fish, forgotten like he deserved. Told himself the gnawing anxiety in his gut was just indigestion from too much spicy food. He was walking home from evening training, still in his UA gym uniform when his phone buzzed. Text from his mother, "Come home now. Police want to talk to you." His blood went cold. He broke into a run. Detective Tsukauchi was waiting in the Bakugo living room, his partner beside him, both looking grim. Mitsuki Bakugo hovered nervously by the kitchen door, her usual bombastic energy replaced by maternal concern. "Bakugo Katsuki?" Tsukauchi stood, offering a hand. "I'm Detective Tsukauchi. This is Detective Yamazaki. We need to ask you some questions about your time at Aldera Junior High." "What about it?" Bakugo stayed standing, arms crossed, defensive posture automatic. Specifically about students who attended 3 years ago. Tsukauchi pulled out photos, spread them on the coffee table. Kaito Yamamoto, Yoshida Kenji, Fukuda Aina. Did you know any of these individuals? Bakugo's stomach dropped. He recognized all 3. They'd been there that night. Not the main participants. That had been him, mostly. But present. Watching. Contributing. "Maybe," he said carefully. "Aldera's a big school, lots of faces." Tsukauchi's eyes narrowed slightly, his quirk at work, Bakugo realized. Lie detection. Fuck. Let me be more specific. Were you present on February 17th, 3 years ago, at the industrial zone near the river when a student named Izuku Midoriya was assaulted? The room went silent. Mitsuki's hand flew to her mouth. Bakugo felt his quirk activate reflexively, tiny sparks popping from his palms. "I want a lawyer," he said. "You're not under arrest," Yamazaki said. "We're just trying to establish a timeline." "I said I want a fucking lawyer." Tsukauchi held up his hands placatingly. "Katsuki. Can I call you Katsuki? We're not here to get you in trouble. We're trying to prevent more murders, because whoever killed these 3 people is escalating, and we believe there's a pattern connecting victims to that incident 3 years ago." "Deku's dead," Bakugo snapped, then froze, realizing what he'd just admitted. "Midoriya Izuku was never found," Tsukauchi said quietly. "His mother filed a missing person report. The case was never solved, but yes, he was assumed dead." He leaned forward. "Tell me what happened that night." Bakugo wanted to refuse, to tell them to fuck off, to explode something until they left, but the fear in his gut overrode his pride. Because if Deku was somehow alive, somehow killing people... "There was a fight," he said finally. A bunch of us from school. He was there. Things got out of hand. Define out of hand. He got hurt. Bad. We left him by the river. Alive? Bakugo hesitated too long. Tsukauchi's eyes hardened. We thought he'd be fine. Bakugo lied, knowing the detective would catch it but not caring. It was just a fight. We were kids. You used your quirk on him, Tsukauchi said. Not a question. Bakugo's hands clenched. Yeah, I did. Multiple times? I don't remember exactly. Did you leave him to die? We left him there. Bakugo exploded, literally. Small blasts erupting from his palms, scorching the carpet. His mother flinched. We left him and he died, and it was 3 fucking years ago, okay? What do you want from me? Tsukauchi stood slowly. I want you to understand that you're in danger. Whoever's doing this is targeting people who were present that night. You need protection. I don't need protection. Bakugo's pride reasserted itself. I'm training to be the #1 hero. Some psycho with a grudge doesn't scare me. It should. Tsukauchi pulled out another photo, this one from the maintenance building crime scene. Fukuda Aina pinned to the wall, machete through her chest. Because this psycho is strong enough to kill quirk users without using a quirk of their own. Fast enough that victims don't have time to mount defense, and patient enough to stalk prey for days before striking. Bakugo stared at the photo, at the brutality on display, at what looked like a machete, an actual fucking machete like from a horror movie. Deku was quirkless, he said quietly. He was weak. He couldn't... Maybe Midoriya Izuku is dead, Tsukauchi said. Maybe something else came back. Either way, you're not safe. None of the people who were there that night are safe. He left contact information, made Mitsuki promise to install better security, told Bakugo to vary his routes home. Professional advice delivered with professional courtesy. But Bakugo saw the truth in the detective's eyes. We can't protect you. Not from this. Izuku Midoriya had been methodical for 3 kills. Patient, careful, waiting for the perfect moment to strike isolated prey. But something inside him, some fragment of the rage that animated his corpse, was growing impatient. 3 down wasn't enough. Not nearly enough. Too many people still walked free, still breathed, still lived while he existed in this liminal state between death and purpose. The pattern changed. On the 4th night after Fukuda's death, 2 more bodies turned up. Students from Aldera, both present at the beating 3 years ago, found in separate locations but killed within hours of each other, suggesting the killer was accelerating. The first was discovered in his own home, parents out for the evening, front door kicked open with enough force to splinter the frame. The boy, Matsuda Takeshi, quirk, minor super strength, had tried to fight back. The living room showed signs of struggle. Furniture broken, walls cracked from impacts, blood splattered everywhere. But the body told a different story. Matsuda's enhanced strength had done nothing. His arms were broken in multiple places, bent backward at impossible angles. His ribs caved in from a single crushing blow to the chest. And his face, God, his face, pulverized so thoroughly that identification required dental records. The second victim, Tanaka Yuki, quirk, flash freeze, was found in an alley behind a convenience store where she worked part-time. She'd activated her quirk in self-defense. The entire alley was coated in ice, frozen solid, temperature still below 0 when police arrived. In the center of that frozen hellscape, Tanaka's body hung from a fire escape, impaled through the abdomen on a length of rebar, frost coating her wide-open eyes. The killer had somehow operated in sub-zero temperatures without slowing down, had torn the rebar from a construction site 2 blocks away, and had hung the corpse like a trophy, 5 bodies in 8 days. The media caught wind. News broadcasts led with River District killer stories. Social media exploded with theories, conspiracies, demands for hero intervention. Pro-heroes responded. Patrols increased in the industrial zone. Kamui Woods personally swept the area 3 times. Mount Lady stood guard at intersections. Death Arms stationed himself near Aldera Junior High. None of them saw the killer. He moved like smoke, appearing only when ready to strike, vanishing before reinforcements arrived. Witnesses reported glimpses, a figure in a hockey mask, impossibly large, moving with unnatural silence. But by the time heroes arrived, only bodies remained. Tsukauchi's team worked around the clock, mapping connections, identifying potential targets. They found 12 more individuals who'd been present at Izuku Midoriya's assault. 12 people now under police protection, like living in safe houses, escorted everywhere by armed officers. It didn't matter. The sixth victim, Kobayashi Ryo, was killed despite having 2 police officers guarding his safe house. They heard a noise from the bedroom, went to investigate, found Kobayashi with his head twisted 180 degrees, spine snapped, face frozen in terror. The window was closed and locked from the inside. No sign of forced entry. No indication of how the killer had entered or escaped. "It's impossible," Yamazaki said, staring at the crime scene. "We were watching the doors, the windows, everything. How did?" "Jason Voorhees," Tsukochi muttered. "What?" "Old American horror movie character. Seemingly supernatural killer who appeared and disappeared impossibly. Killed victims despite all precautions." Tsukochi rubbed his temples. "My American contact at Interpol used to joke about quirk-based killers being like slasher film villains. I told her she watched too many movies." "You think this is quirk-based? Some kind of teleportation. I think we're out of our depth." Tsukauchi turned to face his partner. "I think we need to call in All Might." All Might arrived in Musutafu the next morning, his presence announced by the sonic boom of his landing in the police station parking lot. Even deflated, skinny, coughing blood into a handkerchief, he commanded instant respect from every officer present. Tsukochi briefed him personally, laying out crime scene photos, forensic reports, witness statements. All Might studied each one with growing concern, his perpetual smile fading to grim determination. 6 dead in 9 days, he said quietly. All connected to one incident 3 years ago, and you believe the killer might be Midoriya Izuku? Or something that used to be him? Tsukauchi pulled up the original missing person report. Photo of a 14-year-old boy with green hair and hopeful eyes. The mother's description matches. Green hair visible beneath the hood, witnesses reported. Similar build, allowing for growth, and the timeline fits perfectly. 3 days after he went missing, urban explorers reported seeing a figure standing in the river where we believe he died. You think he survived the assault? I think he died. But something brought him back. A quirk, maybe, or something else. Tsukauchi hesitated. My lie detection quirk has been going haywire around this case. Not because people are lying, because something fundamental about the situation defies normal truth. It's like reality itself is wrong around this killer. All Might absorbed this silently. Then, show me where he died. They drove to the industrial zone, All Might in civilian form to avoid media attention. The river embankment looked innocuous in daylight, just another polluted stretch of urban waterway. But standing there, feeling the atmosphere, All Might understood why Tsukochi seemed so disturbed. Tell me about the boy, All Might said, before he died. Tsukochi read from the file. Izuku Midoriya, quirkless, diagnosed at age 4, mother single, working multiple jobs, father absent, bullied extensively at school, teachers' reports confirm but no action was taken. Multiple hospital visits for injuries attributed to accidents or clumsiness. Quiet, studious, wanted to be a hero despite being quirkless, All Might finished, his voice heavy. I've met several children like that over my career. They all had the same look in their eyes. Hope fighting against impossible odds. The night he died, or we think he died, approximately 15 teen students attacked him. The ringleader was Bakugo Katsuki. All Might's head snapped up. Katsuki? My student? You didn't know? He's troubled, angry. But I never thought. All Might's fists clenched. Tell me everything. Tsukauchi laid out the timeline. The systematic beating, the use of quirks on a quirkless victim, the final disposal into the river. Bakugo used his explosion quirk multiple times at close range. Medical examiner says the damage to Midoriya's body would have been catastrophic. And you're certain Katsuki was involved? He admitted it. Sort of. Enough that my quirk confirmed his guilt. Tsukauchi pulled out another photo. But here's where it gets complicated. Young Bakugo is also on the target list. 8 people from that night are still alive, and our killer seems to be working his way through all of them, regardless of culpability level. Indiscriminate revenge, All Might said, driven by pain rather than justice. If it is Midoriya, he's not the boy anymore. He's something else. Something that can kill quirk users with bare hands, survive sub-zero temperatures, appear and disappear seemingly at will, and shrug off injuries that would kill anyone else. Tsukochi met All Might's eyes. I've been doing this job for 15 years. I've seen quirk-based murders, villain attacks, all sorts of horrible things. This is different. This feels supernatural, All Might finished. I understand, and I'll stop it. Whatever this killer has become, he won't claim more lives. He powered up, muscles expanding, face shifting into his heroic form. I am here, and I will save everyone I can. Tsukauchi nodded, but his expression remained troubled. Because his lie detection quirk was screaming at him that All Might was wrong, this wasn't something the symbol of peace could stop. Bakugo Katsuki was done hiding, done letting fear control him, done being treated like a victim instead of the future #1 hero. He ditched his police escort, snuck out of UA dorms, and now prowled the industrial zone looking for the fucker who thought they could scare him. His hands sparked with explosions, ready to blow apart anyone or anything that came at him. "Come on, Deku," he shouted into the darkness. "If it's really you, show yourself. Face me like a man instead of hiding like a coward." The industrial zone remained silent. Empty buildings, rusted machinery, no sign of life. "I know you're here." Bakugo's voice echoed off concrete walls. "The police told me everything. You're alive somehow, killing people, playing boogeyman." He spun in a circle, explosions crackling. "Well, guess what? I'm not scared of you. I never was. You were worthless then and you're worthless now." Movement. To his left. Bakugo wheeled, palm already extended, explosion building. Nothing, just shadows. Fuck. He was breathing hard now, adrenaline spiking, realizing too late that maybe this was a mistake. That coming here alone at night to confront a serial killer was possibly not his smartest move. A rock clattered behind him. Bakugo spun again, fired a blast that lit up the night. Empty air. "Stop fucking around." His voice cracked slightly. "Fight me. I'm right here. The hand closed around his throat from behind. Bakugo's quirk activated reflexively. Maximum power. Explosion point blank into whatever grabbed him. The blast lit up the entire area. Heat and pressure that would have vaporized a normal person, left concrete scorched and smoking. The hand didn't release. Bakugo felt himself lifted off the ground, rotation bringing him face to face with his attacker. Hockey mask. Dead gray skin, green eyes barely visible through the eye holes, and beneath the ragged clothes, a body that had taken a point-blank explosion without flinching. "Deku?" Bakugo gasped against the crushing grip. The figure tilted its head, studying him. Recognition flickered in those green eyes. Not warm recognition. Cold. Calculating. The look of a predator identifying prey. Bakugo fired another explosion. Both hands this time, putting everything into it. The figure's chest scorched, clothes burning away, revealing gray flesh beneath that blackened and cracked but didn't bleed, didn't tear, didn't do anything except slowly begin healing. "What the fuck are you?" Bakugo wheezed, vision starting to gray from lack of oxygen. The figure Izuku, or what Izuku had become, didn't answer. Couldn't answer. Mouth hidden behind the mask, throat apparently unable to form words. But his eyes spoke volumes. Rage. Hatred. Satisfaction at finally having the main target in his grasp. Bakugo's explosions were weakening, quirk faltering from oxygen deprivation. He grabbed at the arm holding him, trying to pry fingers loose, but the grip was like steel, stronger than steel. Impossible strength that suggested whatever Deku had become, it wasn't human anymore. "I'm sorry," Bakugo gasped, a lie. He wasn't sorry for what happened to Deku, wasn't sorry for the beatings, the insults, the final murder. He was only sorry that he was about to die for it. Izuku's eyes narrowed behind the mask, as if he knew, as if he could sense the lie. The grip tightened. Bakugo's vision went black at the edges. His explosion stopped completely. This was it. This was how he died. Not in glorious combat with villains, not protecting civilians, but strangled in an abandoned industrial zone by the ghost of his greatest sin. Mash. The impact separated Bakugo and Izuku instantly, sending both flying in opposite directions. Bakugo hit the ground gasping, throat bruised but intact. Izuku crashed through a concrete wall, disappeared into the building beyond. All Might stood between them, massive and imposing in his muscle form, fists still clenched from the punch. "Young Bakugo, are you injured?" "I'm fine," Bakugo wheezed, struggling to his feet. "That's him. That's Deku. He's alive." "Get to safety," All Might ordered. "Now. This is not a fight for students." "But now." Bakugo ran, hated himself for it, but ran. Behind him, he heard All Might advance on the building where Izuku had vanished, heard the hero call out, "Midoriya, Izuku, if you can understand me, stand down. I don't want to hurt you." The response was not words, but action. Izuku erupted from the building's second-story window, machete in hand, dropping toward All Might with murderous intent. All Might caught him midair with another punch, sending him careening across the industrial zone. But Izuku twisted in mid-flight, landed on his feet, skidded backward with the machete gouging trenches in concrete until momentum stopped. He stood, crouched, and charged. All Might had fought hundreds of opponents, villains with devastating quirks, criminals with years of combat experience, but none of them had been quite like this. Izuku didn't fight like a person, he fought like a machine. No wasted movement, no hesitation, every strike aimed at vital points. The machete whistled through air with lethal precision, forcing All Might to dodge rather than block. Even his invulnerable body had limits. "Midoriya," All Might tried again between exchanges. "I know you've suffered, I know you've been wronged, but this isn't the answer." Izuku's response was a machete strike that would have decapitated a normal person. All Might ducked, countered with a body blow that cratered Izuku's chest, and watched in horror as the crater immediately began healing. Broken ribs resetting themselves, crushed organs regenerating. Within seconds, no sign of injury remained. "Impossible," All Might breathed. Izuku charged again. All Might met him head-on, and the industrial zone became a war zone. Buildings collapsed from missed punches. The ground cratered from impacts. Metal structures were torn apart and used as improvised weapons, and through it all, Izuku. Never tiring, never slowing, taking damage that would kill anyone else and healing through it. Adapting to All Might's patterns, learning, becoming more dangerous with every exchange, All Might felt his time limit approaching. 3 minutes left in muscle form. 2, 1. He needed to end this now. "I'm sorry it came to this," he said, winding up for a finishing blow. "Carolina smash!" The punch hit with enough force to level a city block. Izuku took it full in the chest, flew backward at supersonic speed, crashed through 4 buildings before momentum finally stopped him in a pile of rubble 200 yards from impact point. All Might stood gasping, steam beginning to rise from his body as his time limit approached. Surely that was enough. Nothing could survive that. Nothing. The rubble shifted, a hand emerged, then another. Izuku pulled himself from the wreckage, chest completely caved in, spine visible through his back, left arm hanging by tendons, and healed, right in front of All Might's eyes. Bones resetting, flesh regenerating within 30 seconds, completely intact. "My God," All Might whispered, "you can't be killed." Izuku picked up a length of rebar from the rubble, tested its weight, and started walking back toward All Might with the inevitability of a glacier. All Might's muscle form failed. He deflated back to his skeletal civilian appearance. Coughing blood, time limit reached, completely vulnerable. Izuku stopped 20 feet away, tilted his head, studying the symbol of peace in his weakened state. For a long moment, they stared at each other. Hero and monster. Symbol of hope and embodiment of revenge. Then Izuku turned and walked away, melting into shadows between buildings, vanishing as completely as if he'd never been there. All Might collapsed to his knees, coughing harder, tasting blood and failure. He'd hit Midoriya with enough force to kill anyone, anything. And it had done nothing except slow him down temporarily. And the worst part? The absolute worst part? He'd seen Izuku's eyes behind that mask, seen the intelligence there, the awareness. Midoriya Izuku wasn't just some mindless killing machine. He was choosing to do this, choosing to hunt, choosing to kill. And he'd spared All Might. Not out of mercy, but because All Might wasn't on his list. Wasn't part of the revenge driving him, which meant everyone who was on that list was going to die, and there was nothing All Might could do to stop it. News of All Might's failure spread through hero society like wildfire. The symbol of peace, the strongest hero in the world, unable to stop a single killer. Footage from nearby security cameras showed the fight, showed All Might hitting Midoriya with enough force to destroy buildings, showed the target getting back up, healing, continuing the assault. Panic ensued. If All Might couldn't stop this thing, who could? The Hero Public Safety Commission called an emergency meeting. Every available pro-hero in the Musutafu area was summoned. Endeavor, Hawks, Best Jeanist, Mirko, Ryukyu. Even heroes from other cities volunteered to help hunt down the River District killer. But hunt what? a ghost that appeared only to kill, that shrugged off lethal damage, that seemed to know exactly where its targets would be before they arrived. Tsukauchi stood before the assembled heroes, exhaustion evident in every line of his face. We have 8 confirmed targets remaining from the original incident. All are currently in protective custody at secure locations. Our working theory is that the killer, tentatively identified as Midoriya Izuku, deceased 3 years ago, won't stop until all witnesses to his murder are eliminated. So we use them as bait, Endeavor said flatly. Set a trap. When this thing shows up to kill one of them, we're waiting. That's essentially the plan, yes. Tsukauchi pulled up a map of Musutafu. We're setting up multiple secure locations, each one guarded by pro-heroes, each one containing one of the remaining targets. When Midoriya attacks, and he will attack, we'll have overwhelming force ready to respond. Will it be enough? Hawks asked from his perch on the windowsill. All Might hit this guy with everything and barely slowed him down. We don't have a choice, All Might said, still looking haggard from the previous night's encounter. We can't let him continue killing. Even if he's been wronged, even if his revenge has justification, we cannot allow this to continue. Justification? Endeavor scoffed. The boy was weak, quirkless. He was killed by stronger individuals. That's natural selection. The room went silent. Multiple heroes turned to stare at Endeavor with expressions ranging from disbelief to disgust. He was murdered, All Might said quietly, voice carrying an edge that silenced all side conversations. Beaten to death by peers who should have been his companions. Left to drown alone in industrial waste. That's not natural selection. That's cruelty. That's the worst aspect of quirk-based society, given free rein. Endeavor shrugged. Doesn't matter now. He's a threat. We eliminate threats. He's a victim, Tsukauchi corrected, who became a killer. And yes, we need to stop him. But don't mistake what this is. This is our failure. Society's failure to protect a vulnerable child. This is what happens when we value quirks over humanity. Save the philosophy, Mirko said, bouncing on her toes impatiently. When do we start hunting? Tonight, Tsukauchi answered. We've identified the most likely target based on pattern analysis. Nakamura Hideo, one of the more active participants in the original assault. He's being transferred to a secure facility in downtown Musutafu, guarded by 6 pro-heroes. If our profile is correct, Midoriya will attempt to intercept during transport. And if he doesn't, Hawks asked. Then we wait for him to hit one of the other locations. Tsukauchi's expression was grim. One way or another, this ends tonight. He was right about that, at least. It would end tonight, just not the way anyone expected. Nakamura Hideo was terrified. 18 years old, quirk barely worth mentioning, could make his hair grow rapidly, useless in combat, living in protective custody while a supernatural killer hunted everyone who'd been present at a murder he'd tried to forget for 3 years. We're going to keep you safe, the lead hero, Death Arms, assured him as they prepped for transport. You'll be in an armored vehicle surrounded by pros. Nothing's getting through us. Hideo nodded mutely, trying to believe it, trying not to think about the crime scene photos the police had shown him, bodies torn apart, the victims who'd had quirks, who'd fought back, who'd died anyway. The armored transport looked military-grade, reinforced steel, bulletproof glass, 6 heroes total. Death Arms, Mount Lady, shrunk down to fit, Kamue Woods, fourth kind, a water manipulation hero named Backdraft, and a shield generation hero named Crust. Best protection in the city, Crust said, activating his quirk to generate a crystalline shield around the entire vehicle. Relax, kid. We've got you. The transport rolled out at 8 p.m., taking a route through downtown Musutafu's busiest streets. Witnesses everywhere, cameras on every corner, maximum visibility, minimum opportunity for ambush. They made it 4 blocks before the first hero died. Mount Lady was riding on the vehicle's roof, keeping watch from above, when something hit her hard enough to dent the reinforced steel beneath her feet. She went down hard, sprawling across the roof, and looked up to see a figure in a hockey mask standing over her. Contact, she shouted, size quirk activating, body beginning to expand. The machete took her head off before she reached 8 feet tall. The body collapsed, already shrinking back to normal size, blood spreading across the transport's roof. Inside, alarms blared. Heroes erupted from the vehicle. Kamui Woods' branches shot upward, trying to bind the attacker. Fourth kind charged with all 4 arms ready to strike. Backdraft generated a water barrier between the killer and the transport. Izuku Midoriya walked through it all. Kamui Wood's branches shattered when they tried to constrict him, superhuman strength breaking them like twigs. Fourth Kind's punch, reinforced by all four arms combining into one massive fist, hit Izuku square in the chest and did nothing except make him stumble back a step. Backdraft's water pressure that could strip paint from metal washed over him harmlessly, and the machete kept moving. Precise, lethal, efficient. Kamui Woods lost an arm. Fourth Kind lost his head. Backdraft lost everything below the waist in a single horizontal slash. Death Arms grabbed Izuku from behind, Bear Hug attempting to restrain him through sheer strength. Crust! Get the kid out of here. Crust tried. He generated a shield, grabbed Hideo, started running, made it 10 feet before something crashed into his shield with enough force to shatter it. Crust stumbled, looked back to see Izuku standing over Death Arm's body, spine snapped, neck at wrong angle, hero very dead. Run! Crust shoved Hideo ahead. Run! Hideo ran. 20 years old, never been athletic, legs pumping with pure terror-fueled adrenaline. Behind him, he heard Crust screaming, heard the wet sounds of the machete doing its work, heard the screaming stop. The street ahead was crowded, civilians everywhere, safety in numbers. He just had to reach. His collar yanked backward. Hideo's feet left the ground. He flew backward through the air, crashed through a storefront window, landed in a heap of broken glass and display mannequins. Izuku stepped through the broken window, glass crunching under his boots, machete dripping blood from 6 heroes onto the floor. Please, Hideo whimpered, crawling backward. Please, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. We were just kids. We didn't mean... Izuku tilted his head. The gesture somehow conveyed perfect understanding and complete indifference simultaneously. I'll do anything, Hideo begged. Anything. I'll turn myself in. I'll confess. The machete pinned him to the floor through the stomach. Not a killing blow. Not yet. Izuku wanted him to feel it. Wanted him to understand that death was coming, but not immediately. Wanted the fear, the pain, the knowledge that nothing could save him. Hideo screamed. Izuku reached down, grabbed the machete handle, and twisted. Outside, police sirens wailed. More heroes incoming. Izuku didn't care. He left Hideo dying, walked back through the broken window, and vanished into an alley before reinforcements arrived. 7 down, 1 remaining, and that one was going to be special. Bakugo Katsuki sat in the UA dorm's common room, staring at the news coverage of the downtown massacre. 6 pro heroes dead, 1 student confirmed killed, all within 10 minutes. And it was his fault. Every death traced back to that night 3 years ago. Every victim was payment for his sin. Deku's revenge, delivered with mechanical precision by something that used to be a shy, hopeless boy who'd wanted nothing more than to be a hero. Katsuki? His mother's voice came through his phone. She'd been calling every hour since the news broke. Katsuki, please, you need to answer. I'm fine, Mom. You're not safe. That thing is killing everyone who was there. You need to. I know. Bakugo's hand clenched around the phone. I know what I need to do. No. Mitsuki's voice rose to near panic. And now don't you dare do something stupid. Let the heroes handle this. The heroes can't handle it. All Might couldn't handle it. 6 pros died tonight trying to protect 1 target. Bakugo stood, walking toward the dorm's exit. There's only one way this ends. Katsuki. I'm sorry, Mom. He hung up, turned off the phone, pocketed it. The dorm security was laughable for someone with his quirk. Explosion blast through a window, drop 2 stories, land with another explosion to cushion impact. Easy. Finding Deku would be harder. The thing was a ghost, appearing only when ready to kill. But Bakugo had an advantage. He knew Deku better than anyone. Knew where he'd gone to think, to cry, to hide from the world. The old playground near their childhood homes. Abandoned now, equipment rusted, but Deku had spent hours there as a kid, before the quirk diagnosis, before everything went to hell. Bakugo arrived at midnight, standing in the center of the playground, hands sparking with explosions. I'm here, he shouted into the darkness. No heroes, no police, no backup, just you and me, like you wanted. Silence. Then, movement in the shadows beneath the rusted slide. Izuku Midoriya stepped into the moonlight, hockey mask reflecting pale light, machete in one hand, body completely still, except for the rise and fall of his chest, breathing that shouldn't be possible for someone dead. Yeah. Bakugo said quietly, it's really you, isn't it? Not some villain pretending. Actually you, Deku. Izuku tilted his head. I'm not going to apologize, Bakugo continued. You want me to say I'm sorry for what happened? I'm not. You were weak, quirkless. You had no business dreaming about being a hero. We did the world a favor. He stopped. No, that's bullshit. That's what I told myself for 3 years, but it's bullshit. Izuku remained motionless, listening. You know what you were? Bakugo's voice cracked slightly. You were better than all of us. Quirkless and still trying, still believing, still hoping, even when the entire fucking world told you to give up. You were. He swallowed hard. You were the real hero, and we killed you for it. Izuku's grip on the machete tightened. So do it, Bakugo said, arms spreading wide. I'm the one you really want, the ringleader. The one who used his quirk to burn you. The one who convinced everyone else to join in. Kill me, get your revenge, then maybe you can finally rest. For a long moment, nothing happened. Izuku stood there, masked face pointed at Bakugo, body statue still. Then he moved, not attacking, walking, slow, deliberate. Closing the distance between them with the inevitability of a glacier, Bakugo held position. Didn't activate his quirk, didn't defend, just stood there as Izuku approached, as the machete raised as death prepared to claim him. Do it, Bakugo whispered. The machete descended and stopped, inches from Bakugo's neck. Trembling, Izuku's entire body shaking with the effort of restraint. Behind the hockey mask, something changed. The mechanical coldness faltered. Green eyes showed conflict, confusion, something almost human struggling against the murder machine programming. Deku? Bakugo breathed. Izuku dropped the machete, reached up with both hands, and pulled off the hockey mask. Bakugo flinched at the face revealed. Scarred, deformed, pale as a corpse, but unmistakably Izuku Midoriya beneath the damage. Those same green eyes, now filled with pain that transcended physical injury. Izuku tried to speak. His voice came out ruined, barely audible, damaged vocal cords struggling to form words after 3 years of silence. I can't. Deku, I wanted to. Izuku's voice gained strength, still rough but more articulate. I wanted to kill you, more than anyone. More than all of them combined. But he looked at his hands, grayed, capable of crushing bone like tissue paper. If I kill you, then what? Where does it end? It ends with me dead and you finally at peace, Bakugo said. Peace? Izuku laughed. Horrible sound, like grinding metal. I'm dead, Kachan. Have been for 3 years. I don't get peace, I get existence. This... He gestured at his body. This thing that won't die, won't stop, won't... He stopped. I'm not Izuku Midoriya anymore. I'm something else, something wrong. You're still you, Bakugo insisted. You're still... I killed 11 people. Izuku's eyes met his. 11. I remember everyone, every face, every scream, every... He shuddered. And I don't feel bad about it. That's what's wrong. I should feel guilty, horrified. But I just feel satisfied. They killed you first, Bakugo said. They deserved. No one deserves this. Izuku picked up the hockey mask, studied it. This thing, when I put it on, I become something else. Something that only knows revenge, but without it. He looked at Bakugo. I remember who I was, who I wanted to be. And I can't be that person. But I can't be this either. So what do we do? Izuku was silent for a long moment. Then, you're going to be a hero, a real one. The kind who saves people, who protects the weak, who makes sure what happened to me never happens to anyone else. Deku. And I'm going to disappear. Izuku put the hockey mask back on. There are still bad people out there. Villains, criminals, people who hurt the helpless. I'll deal with them, from the shadows, where monsters belong. You're not a monster. Yes, Izuku said quietly, voice muffled by the mask. I am. But I can be a monster who protects instead of destroys. I can be... He paused. I can be the fear that evil fears, the shadow that makes villains look over their shoulders. I can't be a hero, but I can be something else. Bakugo wanted to argue, wanted to convince Izuku to come back, to let heroes help him, to find some way to reverse whatever had happened. But looking at his childhood friend, at what his childhood friend had become, he knew it was impossible. Some transformations couldn't be undone. I'm sorry, Bakugo said finally, meaning it this time, for everything, for what we did, for what you became. For, I know. Izuku turned away, melting back into shadows. Be the hero I couldn't be. Kachan, save people I couldn't save. Make it worth it. Wait, Bakugo called. What about your mom? She still thinks you're... Tell her. Izuku's voice echoed from the darkness. Tell her I'm at peace. It's a lie, but tell her anyway. She deserves that much. And then he was gone. vanished into the night like he'd never been there at all. Bakugo stood alone in the playground, staring at the spot where Izuku had disappeared. Around him, sirens wailed. Heroes responding to reports of Bakugo's escape from UA, searching for the final target before the killer could reach him. They'd never find Izuku now. He'd gotten what he wanted, revenge against everyone except the one who'd mattered most. And in sparing Bakugo, he'd proven that some part of the boy who wanted to be a hero still survived beneath the monster. Some part worth saving. Maybe. Detective Tsukauchi closed the case file with a heavy sigh. 11 confirmed kills, 6 pro heroes among them, dozens more injured, property damage in the millions, and the perpetrator had simply vanished. No leads, no sightings, no evidence beyond the bodies left behind, and witness descriptions of a figure in a hockey mask who moved like death incarnate. "We're classifying him as deceased," his superior said. "Officially, Midoriya Izuku died 3 years ago. These murders were committed by an unknown villain with a transformation or necromancy quirk. Case closed." "That's a lie," Tsukauchi said flatly. "It's the truth we're going with. Because the alternative, that a dead boy came back as an immortal killing machine and society's negligence created him, that's not a truth we can afford." The superior stood. "Let it go, detective. Move on to other cases. This one's done." Tsukauchi wanted to argue, wanted to keep investigating. But he knew the truth. They'd never catch Izuku Midoriya. Whatever he'd become, wherever he'd gone, he was beyond their reach now. All they could do was wait and hope he didn't come back. 3 months after the River District massacre, crime in Musutafu's industrial zone dropped to nearly zero. Drug dealers vanished, Yakuza enforcers disappeared, villains who normally operated in the area relocated elsewhere. Urban explorers reported new sightings, a figure in a hockey mask standing in shadows watching the city, never moving, never threatening, just present, a guardian or a watcher or something in between. The media called him the River Ghost. Criminal underground called him the Reaper. Those who'd encountered him and survived, rare few, called him death personified. But Bakugo Katsuki, studying at UA to become the hero he'd promised to be, knew the truth. Izuku Midoriya hadn't died, he'd transformed. Become something that transcended typical hero or villain categories. A monster who killed monsters, a ghost who haunted the guilty, a legend born from society's worst impulses given supernatural form. On quiet nights, Bakugo would sometimes visit the old playground, would stand where they'd had their final confrontation, would hope to see that figure in the shadows, to know his childhood friend still existed somewhere beneath the mask. He never did. But sometimes, walking home from training, he'd feel eyes watching from dark alleys, would turn to see nothing but shadows and the suggestion of movement, would know instinctively that Izuku was there, watching, protecting in his own twisted way. The River Ghost, the Reaper. Jason Voorhees reborn in a world of quirks and heroes. Whatever name people used, the truth remained. Izuku Midoriya was dead, but something far more terrifying had taken his place. And it was watching. Always watching. Waiting for the guilty to slip up. Waiting for evil to show its face. Waiting, with infinite patience and immortal endurance, to deliver justice to those who thought themselves beyond reach. The story of the River District Massacre would become legend. Warning tale told to children about the consequences of cruelty. Nightmare fuel for bullies who wondered if their victims might someday return. But for those who knew the truth, who'd seen behind the hockey mask, who'd looked into those green eyes and recognized the boy beneath the monster, it was something else. It was tragedy. It was failure. It was proof that society's cracks sometimes didn't just swallow people. Sometimes they spat them back out, changed, stronger, unstoppable, and hungry for revenge that would never truly satisfy. Izuku Midoriya had wanted to be a hero. Instead, he'd become something else entirely, something this world had created, something this world deserved. The River Ghost, the Reaper, Jason Voorhees. And though this chapter of his story had ended, though he'd vanished into urban legend and whispered warnings, his tale was far from over, because evil never truly disappeared, and neither did he. The Villain Alliance's recruitment meeting took place in an abandoned warehouse, cliché but effective. 20 low-level villains, all hoping to join Shigaraki Tomura's growing organization, all desperate for protection, resources, and the backing of All for One's mysterious power. They never saw him coming. Izuku Midoriya crouched in the warehouse rafters, hockey mask reflecting the dim light from below, watching the gathering with clinical interest. Villains. People who chose to hurt others, who preyed on the weak, who embodied everything wrong with quirk society taken to its extreme, perfect targets. He'd been tracking this group for weeks, following leads through Musutafu's criminal underground, learning patrol patterns, identifying key members. The League of Villains was different from his original targets. These people hadn't directly wronged him, but they represented something fundamental: the choice to use power for harm. And Izuku had decided that his transformation, his power, his immortal existence had to serve a purpose beyond personal revenge. If he was going to be a monster, he'd be a monster who hunted monsters. Below, Shigaraki Tomura addressed the gathered villains, one hand scratching absently at his neck. Heroes think they're safe, think their society is stable, but it's rotting from within. All Might's age is ending, and we're going to accelerate that collapse. The villains nodded, murmured agreement, pledged loyalty, promised violence. Izuku dropped from the rafters. He landed in the center of the group, concrete cracking from impact, machete already in motion. The closest villain, some nobody with a stretching quirk, died before his brain registered threat. The next one, mutation type with extra arms, lost all 6 limbs before mounting a defense. Chaos erupted, villains scattered, activating quirks, trying to coordinate attacks, fire blasts, ice spikes, projectile weapons, enhancement quirks, transformation abilities, none of it mattered. Izuku moved through them like smoke through a screen door, intangible when convenient, solid and lethal when necessary. His body adapted to each attack. Fire washed over him harmlessly, ice shattered against his skin, projectiles embedded in flesh that immediately healed, and the machete kept swinging. In 90 seconds, 15 villains lay dead or dying. The survivors fled, abandoning all pretense of courage or loyalty. Only Shigaraki remained, hands hovering, decay quirk ready to disintegrate anything touched. Interesting. Shigaraki studying Izuku through the hand covering his face. You're not a hero, not a vigilante. Something else. Something. He tilted his head. Dead? Izuku didn't respond. Couldn't respond. His vocal cords worked only intermittently, and he decided silence served him better than speech. I know you. Shigaraki continued, scratching harder at his neck. The River Ghost. Urban legend. Boogeyman who kills criminals. He laughed, cracked and broken. You think you're better than us? You kill just like we do. You're a villain whether you admit it or not. Izuku considered this. Was Shigaraki right? Was there really a difference between killing villains and being a villain himself? The philosophical distinction seemed increasingly thin, but he knew one truth. Villains chose their path. He'd been forced onto his. That had to count for something. Shigaraki lunged, fingers spread, decay quirk active. Izuku sidestepped, machete rising, and stopped. Not from mercy, not from hesitation, but from recognition. Behind Shigaraki, emerging from the shadows near the warehouse's back entrance, stood Kurogiri, the Warp Gate villain, and he wasn't alone. Master says to retreat, Kurogiri said calmly, purple mist gathering. This one is not worth our attention yet. Yet? Shigaraki's scratching intensified. I want to kill him, turn him to dust, make him pay for. Master says retreat. Kurogiri repeated, firmer this time. Shigaraki glared at Izuku through the hand mask. Fine, but we'll meet again, and next time. They vanished into Kurogiri's warp gate, leaving Izuku alone with 15 corpses and a burning question. Who was Master, and why did they know about him? Dr. Garaki Kyudai studied the security footage with fascination bordering on obsession. The warehouse massacre, the river ghost in action. Movement too fast for normal human perception, durability beyond any known quirk, regeneration that suggested cellular immortality. Remarkable, he muttered, replaying the footage for the 100th time. Multiple quirks working in concert, but the subject shows no signs of All for One's handiwork. Natural evolution? Impossible. Artificially induced mutation? Unlikely. Then what? You're thinking too hard, All for One said from his medical pod, voice distorted by the machinery keeping him alive. Sometimes the answer is simpler than you imagine. Enlighten me, Master. The boy died. Something brought him back. Whether quirk, cosmic accident, or genuine supernatural intervention matters less than the result. All for One's tone carried amusement. A dead boy animated by pure hatred, given power beyond normal limits, operating outside hero and villain paradigms. He's fascinating. Should I acquire him? His regeneration factor alone would be invaluable for the Nomu program. No. All for One sounded almost regretful. Leave him alone. He serves a purpose as he is, destabilizing Hero Society's certainty, proving that power exists beyond their understanding. And besides, a dark chuckle. I'm curious to see what he becomes, whether he'll eventually seek me out, whether that hatred might be redirected. You think he could be recruited? Everyone can be recruited if you understand their motivation. His is revenge against those who wronged him, now expanded to revenge against those who wrong others. But revenge is finite. Eventually, he'll run out of personal targets. And then, All for One's smile was audible. Then he'll need a new purpose, and I can provide one. Dr. Garaki nodded, still studying the footage. What about Shigaraki? He's invested in hunting this river ghost. Tamura can try. It might even be educational for him, learning that some enemies can't be defeated through simple destruction. That power takes many forms. All for One paused. But tell him to be cautious. This dead boy is unlike anything he's faced. One mistake, and Tamura becomes another corpse in the river ghost's collection. Understood, Master. The footage played on. Izuku Midoriya's masked face filling the screen, green eyes barely visible, movement predatory and precise, a killer, a ghost, a legend growing darker with each reported sighting. And somewhere in Japan's criminal underground, word was spreading. There was something worse than heroes hunting you, something that didn't arrest, didn't show mercy, didn't stop until you stopped breathing, the river ghost, and he was just getting started. Inko Midoriya had spent 3 years in a fog of grief. Missing person posters plastered across Musatafu, police investigations that went nowhere, private detectives who found nothing. Hope slowly dying as evidence suggested her son had been murdered and his body hidden. She'd known about the bullying. How could she not? But she'd believed the teachers when they said it was normal. Just kids being kids, nothing serious. She'd trusted the system to protect her quirkless son. That trust had killed him. The knock on her door came at 2 a.m. Inko answered groggily, expecting police with bad news. They'd finally found a body, confirmed her worst fears, brought closure. Instead, she found All Might, not the muscular symbol of peace, the gaunt, skeletal civilian form. He looked exhausted, ancient, carrying weight that bent his shoulders. Midoriya-san, he said quietly, may I come in? She let him in, made tea automatically, hands shaking. You found him. You found my Izuku. In a manner of speaking, All Might sat heavily, accepting tea he didn't drink. Your son is alive, after a fashion. Hope surged. Where is he? Can I see him? Is he... He's the river ghost. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Inko's teacup slipped from nerveless fingers, shattered on the floor. No, she whispered. No, my Izuku couldn't. Your Izuku died 3 years ago, All Might said gently but firmly. Beaten, drowned, left for dead by classmates who saw him as worthless. He died, Midoriya-san, but something brought him back. Changed, transformed into something beyond human understanding. He pulled out photos, crime scenes, bodies, evidence of violence so brutal that Inko turned away, unable to look. He killed 11 people, All Might continued. 6 were pro-heroes. All of them died trying to stop him from reaching his targets, the students who murdered him. He's strong enough to fight me to a standstill, durable enough to survive injuries that would kill anyone else, and driven by rage that won't let him rest. But he's alive, Inko said desperately. If he's alive, we can help him. We can find a way to... There is no helping him. All Might's voice carried absolute certainty. I've seen many things in my career. Villains with devastating quirks, criminals consumed by hatred. But your son, he's beyond that. He's something new, something that shouldn't exist. He's my son. Inko's voice rose. I don't care what he's become. He's still my little boy, and your little boy is dead, All Might repeated, harder this time. The thing wearing his face is a killing machine that won't stop until everyone who wronged him is dead. And even then, he trailed off. Even then, I don't know if it will stop, if it can stop. Inko collapsed into a chair, sobbing. All Might let her cry, offering no comfort because there was none to give. I failed him, All Might said eventually. I tell everyone I'll save them, that I'm here, that they're safe, but I wasn't there for your son, none of us were. And this, he gestured at the photos, this is the result. This is what society creates when we value quirks over humanity. What happens now? Inko asked between sobs. Now, he's disappeared, gone to ground somewhere in the city. He might resurface, might not. But if he does, All Might stood slowly. If he does and more people die, I'll have to stop him permanently, whatever it takes. You'll kill him, if necessary. All Might moved toward the door. I'm sorry, truly, your son deserved better. Deserved protection, deserved a society that valued him despite his quirk status. Instead, he got cruelty and death and resurrection as a monster. He paused at the threshold. I'll do everything I can to find another way, but I can't promise anything. He left. Inko sat alone in her apartment, surrounded by photos of her son, the real son, the living son, the boy who'd smiled and dreamed and wanted nothing more than to help people. That boy was dead. Something else had taken his place, and she would never see him again. 3 weeks passed. The media frenzy around the River District massacre slowly faded, replaced by new scandals, new villain attacks, new controversies. Life moved on, but in the forgotten corners of Musutafu, in the dark alleys and abandoned buildings, the legend grew. A Yakuza enforcer trying to collect protection money from a struggling restaurant vanished mid-sentence. Security footage showed a figure in a hockey mask appearing from nowhere, dragging the enforcer into shadows. The enforcer's body turned up 2 days later, pinned to a warehouse wall with his own knife through the chest. A quirk trafficker operating out of the industrial zone disappeared after a deal gone wrong. His associates found him impaled on rebar, machete wound through his abdomen, expression frozen in absolute terror. A domestic abuser was discovered in his apartment. Both arms broken at multiple points, face pulverized beyond recognition. His wife, whom he'd been systematically torturing for years, reported seeing a figure in a white mask standing in their bedroom doorway. When she'd blinked, it was gone. When she'd blinked again, her husband was dead. The pattern was clear. Criminals operating in Musutafu's shadows were being hunted. Not by heroes. Heroes arrested people, processed them through the legal system. This was different. This was elimination. Permanent removal of threats. Detective Tsukauchi tracked each incident, building a profile that became more disturbing with every edition. He's evolving, he told Yamazaki, moving beyond revenge killings to active crime prevention, becoming a self-appointed judge, jury, and executioner. Is that a bad thing? Yamazaki asked. Crime's down 30% in the industrial zone. Villains are relocating to avoid him. He's doing what heroes can't, eliminating threats permanently. He's a serial killer, Tsukuchi said flatly. He's a vigilante with a body count. There's a difference. Not to the law. Fuck the law. Yamazaki stood abruptly. You want to know what I think? I think Midoriya Izuku got exactly what he deserved. Not death, but power. Power to make sure what happened to him never happens to anyone else. Power to punish those who prey on the weak. Power that society should have given him before he died. You're saying we created him. I'm saying we had it coming. Yamazaki grabbed his coat. This isn't our case anymore. It's closed, remember? Dead boy, unknown villain, case done. So stop investigating something that doesn't officially exist. He left. Tsukauchi sat alone in his office, staring at crime scene photos, wondering if Yamazaki was right. Had they created this? And if so, did they have any right to stop it? Todoroki Shoto encountered the river ghost by accident. He'd been training late, running through combat scenarios in an abandoned section of Musutafu designated for hero exercises, when he'd noticed something wrong. Blood on the concrete. Fresh. Leading toward a partially collapsed building, professional instinct kicked in. Todoroki followed the trail, ice and fire ready, prepared for villain activity or civilian injury. What he found was neither. Izuku Midoriya stood in the building's interior, hockey masks splattered with blood, machete dripping, standing over 3 corpses. Villains, based on their appearance, tattoos, weapons, the general air of criminality that clung to certain people, but dead. Very dead. Brutalized with efficiency that suggested professional skill. You're the river ghost, Todoroki said, voice steady despite the spike of adrenaline, the one who killed 6 heroes. Izuku turned slowly, head tilting, assessing threat level. He didn't move to attack, just stood there, weapon ready but not raised. They were trying to kidnap someone, Todoroki continued, nodding at the corpses. These 3. I've been tracking them for weeks, human trafficking ring operating in the industrial zone. And you, he studied Izuku carefully. You killed them. No response. The hockey mask revealed nothing. Are you going to kill me too? Todoroki asked. Izuku's head tilted further as if confused by the question. Then, slowly, he shook his head. Why not? I'm a hero student, part of the system that failed you. Izuku pointed at Todoroki, then at himself, then at the corpses. We're the same? Todoroki guessed, a nod. You think I understand what you've become? What drives you? Another nod. Then Izuku pointed at Todoroki's left side, his fire side, the side inherited from Endeavor, the side representing years of abuse and forced training, the side that carried its own scars. You know about me, Todoroki said quietly. About my father, about what he did. Izuku nodded again, then pointed at his own chest, at the heart beneath the blood-stained clothes and gray skin and monstrous transformation. You're saying you understand, Todoroki interpreted, that we both carry scars from people who should have protected us. A final nod, then Izuku turned away, melting back into shadows, leaving Todoroki alone with 3 corpses and too many questions. Todoroki should have reported it, should have called pro-heroes immediately, should have pursued and attempted capture. Instead, he used his fire to cremate the bodies, a mercy they probably didn't deserve, but one he felt compelled to provide. Then he left, telling no one what he'd witnessed, because part of him understood. Part of him recognized that some justice existed outside legal systems, that some scars ran too deep for society to heal, that some monsters were made, not born, and maybe, just maybe, those monsters deserved a chance to find their own path, even if that path was paved with corpses and vengeance. All Might found Izuku 3 days later, not through investigation or tracking, through simple patience. He'd waited at the river where it all began, where Izuku had died and been reborn, knowing instinctively that this place would call to him, and it did. Izuku emerged from the water at midnight, hockey mask reflecting moonlight, body streaming with polluted river water that should have killed him but instead seemed to sustain him. He saw All Might waiting and stopped at the water's edge. Young Midoriya, All Might said gently, in civilian form, non-threatening posture. We need to talk. Izuku tilted his head, questioning. I've been thinking about what you've become, what society did to you, what responsibility I bear for failing to protect you. All Might moved closer slowly, hands visible, no sudden movements, and I've come to a decision. Izuku remained motionless, listening. I'm not going to hunt you anymore, All Might said. Not going to try to capture or kill you, not going to interfere with what you've chosen to become. Izuku's posture shifted, surprised. You're hunting criminals now, people who prey on the weak, people the legal system can't or won't stop. All Might met Izuku's eyes through the mask's holes. Yes, you're killing them. Yes, that's illegal. Yes, it makes you technically a villain in society's eyes. A pause. Then, but I've seen what you hunt, seen who you target. Human traffickers, abusers, Yakuza enforcers, the worst elements of our society, and you're removing them permanently. All Might sat on the embankment, looking out at the river. Heroes are bound by laws, by rules, by societal expectations. We arrest people, process them, hope the system works, but the system fails, constantly. Villains escape, lawyers find technicalities, influential criminals buy their freedom. You don't have those limitations, he continued. You're beyond the system, beyond rules. You're final, permanent. And as much as it pains me to admit it, he looked at Izuku directly. You're effective. Izuku sat as well, maintaining distance but no longer radiating threat. I'm not giving you permission, All Might clarified. I'm not endorsing vigilante justice, but I'm also not going to stop you, because stopping you means protecting the people you hunt, and I can't. I won't do that. Silence between them, just river sounds and distant city noise. Your mother asked about you, All Might said quietly. She knows what you've become. She still loves you, still wants you to come home. Izuku's shoulders sagged, the first truly human gesture he'd made since emerging from the water. I told her you're at peace, All Might continued. A lie, as you suggested to young Bakugo, but a necessary one, because the truth, that you're trapped in this existence, unable to die, unable to rest, driven by rage you can't fully control, that truth would destroy her. Izuku nodded slowly. So, here's what I propose, All Might said. You continue your hunt, you remove threats that endanger innocence, you be the monster that villains fear, but you stay away from hero operations, don't interfere with arrests, don't kill people who are simply misguided or making mistakes. Reserve your judgment for the truly evil. Another nod. And if you ever want to stop, if you ever find a way to end this existence, I'll help you, whatever it takes. All Might stood. But until then, do what you need to do. Be what you've become. Just try to hold on to whatever humanity remains. He walked away, leaving Izuku sitting at the river's edge, staring at polluted water that had killed him and birthed something else in his place. All Might's offer was more than permission. It was acknowledgement. Recognition that sometimes justice existed outside hero society's boundaries. That sometimes monsters served a purpose. That sometimes the only thing that could stop a monster was a bigger monster. And Izuku Midoriya, the river ghost, the reaper, the thing that wore a hockey mask and wielded a machete with surgical precision, was the biggest monster of all. The hero community's Whisper network exploded with controversy after All Might's decision leaked. Some heroes understood, appreciated having someone handling problems they couldn't touch. Others were horrified, saw it as abandoning heroic principles, condoning murder, betraying everything they stood for. Endeavor led the opposition. This river ghost is a killer, a threat, and All Might is protecting him because of misplaced guilt. Maybe it's not misplaced, Hawks countered at the emergency meeting. Maybe we failed that kid so badly that this is the result. Maybe we should focus on fixing the system that created him instead of hunting the victim. He's not a victim, he's a serial killer. Endeavor slammed his fist on the table. 6 pro heroes dead, dozens of villains eliminated without trial. This is everything we're supposed to prevent. Is it? Best Jeanist asked quietly. I've reviewed his target list. Human traffickers, domestic abusers, quirk supremacists who torture the quirkless, people who frankly deserved what they got. That's not our decision to make, Endeavor growled. No, Mirko said, leaning back in her chair, but it's his, and honestly, I'm okay with that. The meeting dissolved into argument, pro-heroes taking sides, some agreeing with All Might's hands-off approach, others demanding a task force dedicated to hunting the river ghost. In the end, they reached an uncomfortable compromise. No active pursuit, but if the river ghost interfered with hero operations or killed someone who wasn't clearly a villain, all bets were off. It was the best they could do. Meanwhile, Izuku continued his hunt. The League of Villains' second recruitment meeting, held in a different location after the warehouse massacre, was progressing smoothly until the lights went out. Kurogiri, Shigaraki said into darkness. Get them back on. I'm trying. The building's entire power system is... The emergency lighting kicked in, red and dim, casting everything in blood-colored shadows, and in those shadows, 12 figures stood motionless. Corpses, propped up like mannequins, each one pinned to the wall with their own weapons, arranged in a gruesome circle around the meeting space. What the fuck? One recruit breathed. Shigaraki recognized them, villains who'd escaped from the warehouse massacre, people who'd scattered, who'd hidden, who'd thought themselves safe, all dead, hunted down individually, killed, brought here and arranged as a message. And in the center of the corpse circle, written in blood on the floor, choose better. He was here, Shigaraki said, scratching at his neck hard enough to draw blood. He killed them all, brought them here, arranged this, and left. He could have killed us but didn't. He's making a statement. What statement? A recruit asked, voice shaking. That we're not worth his time yet. Shigaraki laughed, high and broken. That we're small time, that he's hunting bigger prey. He laughed harder. It's disrespectful. We should leave, another villain said. This is crazy. He's crazy. I'm not... Shut up! Shigaraki's hand shot out, decay quirk activated, reducing the speaker to dust. No one leaves. We're the League of Villains. We don't run from some ghost with a machete. But even as he said it, Shigaraki knew it was bullshit. They were running. Already running. Because the river ghost wasn't something you fought. He was something you survived. If you were lucky. 6 months after the River District massacre, Musutafu had changed. Crime remained down. Villains operated cautiously, avoiding the industrial zone, checking shadows constantly, living in fear of a figure in a hockey mask. Heroes patrolled with mixed feelings, grateful for reduced villain activity, uncomfortable with the methods that produced it. And in the forgotten spaces between light and dark, in the alleys and abandoned buildings and polluted waters, Izuku Midoriya hunted. He'd killed 43 people in 6 months, all criminals, all thoroughly documented threats, all people who'd harmed innocents and would have continued doing so. The media called him a vigilante. Criminals called him death. Heroes called him a complication. His mother called him lost. Bakugo called him necessary. All Might called him complicated. But Izuku didn't care what anyone called him. He'd transcended labels, transcended mortality, transcended the boy who'd wanted to be a hero. He was something else now, something unique. Something that existed in the gray space between hero and villain, justice and revenge, life and death. He was the River Ghost, the Reaper. Jason Voorhees reborn in a world that had created the perfect conditions for his transformation, and his hunt would never end. Because evil never ended. Because society's failures never stopped producing victims. Because somewhere in Japan, someone was being hurt. Someone was being bullied. Someone quirkless was being told they were worthless. And when that person died, if that person died the way Izuku had died, he'd be there. In the shadows, in the water, in the darkness between heartbeats, ready to show them that death wasn't the end, that revenge was possible, that monsters could be made from victims, and that sometimes the only justice was the kind delivered by a machete through the chest. Bakugo stood on the rooftop of Yuei's dormitory, looking out at Musatafu's lights, thinking about his childhood friend turned legendary killer. Thinking about promises made and purposes found. "I'll be the hero you couldn't be," he muttered into the wind. "I'll save the people you can't save. I'll make it mean something." And somewhere in the city below, hidden in shadows, Izuku heard and approved. Because that's what heroes did. They saved people, and monsters? Monsters made sure people needed saving less often. It wasn't heroism. It wasn't justice. It was something else entirely. Something darker. Something necessary. Something that wore a hockey mask and never, ever stopped. The River Ghost watched Musatafu from his perch on an abandoned factory's roof, watched heroes patrol, watched villains slink through alleys, watched civilians go about their lives unaware of the Guardian, or was it Predator? Standing sentinel above them. His machete rested against his shoulder. His mask reflected city lights. His immortal body waited patiently for the next target to reveal themselves. Because they would. They always did. And when they did, he'd be ready. Always ready. Forever ready. The legend wasn't over. The rooftop where Bakugo stood offered no comfort, only the knowledge that somewhere below, in those dark spaces between buildings, his greatest mistake breathed and hunted and killed without end. 3 days after All Might's controversial decision to stand down, the body count climbed to 57. A group of trafficking ring enforcers vanished from their warehouse headquarters. Police found them 2 days later, arranged in a perfect circle, each impaled through the chest with their own weapons, faces frozen in expressions of absolute terror. The warehouse's security footage showed nothing, just static, then corpses. A domestic abuser who'd hospitalized his wife 3 times was discovered in his bathroom, drowned in his own toilet, arms broken backward at the elbows, skull cracked against porcelain with enough force to shatter both bone and ceramic. No signs of forced entry. No indication of how the killer had accessed a locked apartment on the 14th floor. A quirk supremacist gang that terrorized quirkless neighborhoods found their leader hanging from a traffic light, entrails spelling out a message on the pavement below. Weakness is not crime. The River Ghost wasn't just hunting anymore. He was making statements, sending messages, demonstrating that no amount of security, no level of caution, no degree of power could protect those who preyed on the helpless. Detective Tsukauchi stared at the latest crime scene photos, exhaustion carving deep lines into his face. His lie detection quirk had been useless for weeks. Everything about this case defied normal truth, existed in some space beyond conventional reality where dead boys walked and vengeance never slept. "We need to evacuate the industrial zone," Yamazaki said, studying the same photos. "Get civilians out. Create a perimeter. Let him have his hunting ground and keep everyone else safe." "That's not a solution," Tsukauchi replied. "That's surrender. We'd be acknowledging that part of Musatafu belongs to a serial killer." "It already does," Yamazaki said flatly. "We're just pretending otherwise." Before Tsukauchi could respond, his phone rang. The caller ID made his blood run cold. Hero Public Safety Commission, Priority 1. Detective Tsukauchi. The voice on the other end was clipped, professional, and carried absolute authority. "Report to Commission headquarters immediately. We're implementing Protocol Omega." "Protocol Omega doesn't exist," Tsukauchi said carefully. It's a theoretical contingency for threats that exceed All Might's capacity to manage. Yes, and we're implementing it, now. The line went dead. Yamazaki's expression showed he'd heard enough. What's Protocol Omega? Something I hoped we'd never need. Tsukauchi answered, already grabbing his coat. Something that proves we've completely lost control. The Hero Public Safety Commission's emergency meeting room held the most powerful people in Japan's hero society. Commission president, ranking officials, and an assembly of pro-heroes that represented overwhelming force. All Might, Endeavor, Hawks, Best Jeanist, Edge Shot, Mirko, Ryukyu, Kamui Woods, recovered from injuries, Gang Orca, Crust miraculously survived, and 24 others whose combined quirks could level cities. We're facing an extinction-level threat, the president said without preamble. Not to humanity, to hero society itself. The River Ghost has demonstrated capabilities that exceed our response capacity. He's killed 63 confirmed targets in 7 months, including 6 pro-heroes. He's survived direct confrontation with All Might, and analysis suggests his power is increasing. She pulled up holographic displays showing Izuku's progression. Early kills, brutal but achievable through human means. Recent kills, requiring strength that shattered reinforced steel, speed that evaded multiple heroes simultaneously, durability that shouldn't exist. He's adapting, she continued, learning, becoming more efficient with each kill. If this continues, we'll reach a tipping point where public faith in heroes collapses entirely. Citizens will ask, if heroes can't stop one killer, what good are you? So what's the plan? Endeavor demanded. We've already tried individual confrontation. All Might couldn't stop him. What makes you think? We're not sending individuals, the president interrupted. We're sending everyone. Simultaneous assault from multiple angles. Overwhelming force that he cannot possibly overcome. We locate him, we surround him, and we don't stop until he's contained or destroyed. All Might stood slowly. You're talking about killing him. I'm talking about neutralizing a threat to society. If that means lethal force, then yes. The president's expression remained cold. This isn't a troubled child anymore, symbol of peace. This is a supernatural killing machine that happens to wear a dead boy's face, and it needs to be stopped by any means necessary. I disagree, All Might said quietly. Your disagreement is noted and overruled. The president turned to the assembled heroes. You have your orders. Find the River Ghost. Contain him. Use maximum force. No hesitation. No mercy. This ends tonight. Hawks raised a hand. How exactly do we contain something that regenerates from lethal damage? All Might hit him with Carolina Smash. He walked it off. We have specialists standing by, the president said. Quirk suppressors, containment technology developed for high-end Nomu. If we can immobilize him long enough, we can. You can't, All Might interrupted. I've fought him. I've seen what he is. This isn't a battle you can win through force. Then what do you suggest? Endeavor sneered. More of your passive approach? Letting him kill until he decides to stop? I suggest understanding that Izuku Midoriya died because we failed him. Society failed him. And creating another failure by throwing heroes at an unstoppable force won't fix anything. We're not here to fix society's failures, the president said coldly. We're here to protect it. And that means eliminating the River Ghost, tonight, by any means necessary. She pulled up a map of Musatafu. Red dots marked confirmed sightings. Blue zones indicated probable hunting grounds. We've been tracking his pattern. He operates primarily in the industrial zone, but recent kills suggest expanding territory. We're setting multiple ambush points. When he appears, we respond with overwhelming force. How many heroes? Best Jeanist asked. All of you, plus another 40 on standby. 60 heroes total, divided into 12 teams of 5, each team capable of independent operation, but coordinated through central command. The president's finger traced routes on the map. He's shown preference for certain locations. We bait those areas with fake targets. Criminals in protective custody, heavily guarded but seemingly vulnerable. When he takes the bait, we spring the trap. And if he doesn't take the bait? Mirko asked. Then we hunt him the old-fashioned way, sweep the industrial zone building by building until we find him. Hawks whistled low. That's a lot of property damage. Acceptable losses, the president said, compared to letting this continue. All Might looked at each hero in turn, seeing determination, fear, resignation. They all knew this was wrong. All knew they were about to commit society-sanctioned murder of a victim-turned-monster. But they'd do it anyway because orders were orders and alternatives seemed non-existent. "I won't participate," All Might said finally. "You don't have a choice. I absolutely have a choice, and I choose to stand down." All Might moved toward the exit. "You want to throw heroes at an immortal killing machine? Fine, but you'll do it without me. I've already fought him once. I know how it ends, and I won't send good people to their deaths because we're too proud to admit we created this problem. If you leave this room, you're in violation of direct orders from... I don't care." All Might stopped at the door. "Court-martial me, revoke my license, do whatever you want, but I will not help you kill Izuku Midoriya, not after everything we've already done to him." He left. The door closed behind him with finality that echoed through the silent room. The president's expression remained unchanged. Anyone else want to abandon their duty? No one moved. Good. Deploy at sunset. Find the river ghost. End this. Izuku sensed the trap before he saw it. Standing in the shadows of an abandoned factory, watching the supposed criminal safe house 3 buildings away, he recognized the staging. Too many guards for a routine protection detail. Too much equipment for standard procedure. Pro heroes trying too hard to look casual while maintaining tactical positions. They were hunting him. Good, he'd been wondering when they'd escalate. When they'd stop treating him like a rogue vigilante and start treating him like the existential threat he'd become. This trap, this obvious, desperate trap, represented that shift. 60 heroes. He could sense them through methods that defied explanation. Felt their presence the way predators felt prey. Knew their positions, their quirks, their fear. They thought overwhelming numbers would work. Thought coordination and firepower could overcome his immortality. They were wrong. Izuku moved through the industrial zone like smoke, silent and inevitable. He bypassed the main trap entirely, circled around to where the command team coordinated the operation. 3 heroes monitoring communications, tactical displays showing every hero position, completely focused on the empty safe house. The first hero never saw him coming. Izuku's hand closed around his throat from behind, lifted him off the ground, squeezed until vertebrae crunched and the body went limp. He dropped the corpse silently. The second hero turned at the sound, quirk activating, some kind of energy projection. The blast hit Izuku square in the chest, burned through his clothes, scorched flesh down to bone. He walked through it, grabbed the hero's extended arm, broke it at 3 points, elbow, wrist, shoulder. Used the broken arm to cave in the hero's skull with a single swing. The third hero activated a panic button before dying. Alarms blared across the industrial zone. Hero positions shifted on the tactical display, converging on the command center. Izuku grabbed the machete he'd left leaning against the wall, always nearby, always ready, and moved to intercept. Endeavor arrived first, flames blazing, confident in his overwhelming power. So you're the river ghost. You don't look like much. Izuku tilted his head, studying Japan's #2 hero with the same clinical assessment he gave all prey. No matter, Endeavor continued, flames intensifying. You've killed enough, time to face real power. Flashfire fist. Izuku moved before the attack completed. Speed that shouldn't exist, crossing 20 feet in a heartbeat, machete swinging in a horizontal arc aimed at Endeavor's exposed midsection. Endeavor's flames intercepted, superheat that could melt steel, focused into a defensive barrier. The machete passed through it like the flames weren't there, blade edge glowing red hot but structurally intact, momentum undiminished. It carved through Endeavor's hero costume, through the reinforced Kevlar beneath, through skin and muscle, and Endeavor twisted desperately, flames exploding outward in an omnidirectional blast that would have vaporized a normal person. Izuku flew backward, body burning, flesh charring, machete knocked from his grip. He landed 40 feet away, rolled, came up in a crouch. His entire front was scorched black, clothes disintegrated, gray skin crackling and peeling. Steam rose from wounds that would have killed anyone else a dozen times over and healed. Right in front of Endeavor's eyes, charred flesh sloughing off, new skin forming beneath, faster than should be possible, reversing catastrophic damage in seconds. What the hell are you? Endeavor breathed. Izuku's answer was to charge again. No weapon this time, just fists and impossible strength and the complete absence of self-preservation that made him unstoppable. Endeavor met the charge with maximum firepower. Prominence. Burn at full strength, temperature high enough to turn sand to glass, focused entirely on the approaching figure, Izuku ran through flames that should have reduced him to ash. Flesh burning away faster than it could heal, skeleton briefly visible through destroyed tissue, green eyes burning with something beyond pain or rage or anything human, his fist connected with Endeavor's jaw. The impact lifted Japan's #2 hero off his feet, sent him flying through a concrete wall, through the building beyond, crashing finally into a steel support beam that bent from the collision. Endeavor struggled to rise, jaw broken, vision blurred, flames flickering weakly. He'd never been hit that hard, never faced something that could walk through his maximum firepower and deliver a counterstrike with more force than All Might at full power. Endeavor. Hawks arrived in a burst of speed, feathers already deploying toward Izuku. Fall back. We need. Izuku caught a feather mid-flight, studied it with that characteristic head tilt, then threw it back with enough force to punch through Hawks' shoulder, pinning him to the factory wall behind him. Hawks screamed, tried to pull free. His feathers responded to his mental commands, attacking from all angles dozens of razor-sharp projectiles that should have shredded Izuku into pieces. Instead, they embedded in dead flesh that didn't bleed, didn't flinch, didn't care. Izuku reached up, grabbed a fistful of feathers, and pulled. Hawks felt his quirk connection strain, then snap. The feathers detaching completely, leaving him temporarily quirkless, Best Jeanist's fiber threads wrapped around Izuku from behind, attempting to bind him, control his movements through his clothes. "Restrain him! Izuku's muscles flexed. The threads tightened, then snapped like paper. He turned to face Best Jeanist with the slow inevitability of a glacier. "Impossible," Best Jeanist muttered. "Those fibers can lift buildings." Izuku grabbed him by the throat before he could finish. Lifted the hero off the ground with one hand while the other reached for Best Jeanist's signature denim mask, tearing it away to reveal the face beneath. Then he threw Best Jeanist through the same wall Endeavor had crashed through, impact leaving another hero-shaped crater in the concrete. More heroes arrived. Gang Orca, Edgeshot, Mirko, Ryukyu in dragon form, Crust with his shields deployed. Kamui Woods, branches already extending, 12 heroes total, converging from multiple angles, quirks activated, determined to overwhelm through coordination and numbers. Izuku retrieved his machete from where it had fallen. Steam still rose from his regenerating body. Feathers still protruded from his back and chest. Burn damage still covered his skin in patches that healed even as they watched. He stood at the center of their circle. Alone. Outnumbered. Outgunned by every conventional measure and utterly unconcerned. Gang Orca attacked first, sonic waves powerful enough to shatter concrete, focused entirely on Izuku's position. The sound hit like a physical force, would have liquefied internal organs in a normal person. Izuku staggered, blood trickled from his ears, damaged eardrums unable to handle the sonic assault. He took one step forward, then another, walking directly into Gang Orca's maximum output like walking against a strong wind. "Increase power!" Gang Orca commanded himself, sonic attack amplifying beyond recommended safety limits. Izuku's eyes ruptured from the pressure. Blood streamed down his face from destroyed optical organs. His jaw dislocated from the vibrations rattling his skull. He kept walking, blind, damaged, healing even as new injuries formed. Edgeshot transformed into a thin blade, shot forward at supersonic speed, pierced directly through Izuku's chest where the heart should be. Perfect strike. Lethal precision. Izuku grabbed Edgeshot mid-transformation, held the hero in his threaded form, preventing retransformation, and pulled. Edgeshot screamed as Izuku began tearing his threaded body apart, ripping sections away with systematic efficiency. The hero desperately tried to retransform, to escape, but Izuku's grip prevented the quirk from activating properly. "Let him go!" Mirko launched a devastating kick aimed at Izuku's head. Rabbit enhanced strength behind the blow. Izuku released Edgeshot, dropping the hero in a partially threaded heap, and caught Mirko's kick with his free hand. Her leg impacted his palm with enough force to crater concrete. The bones in his hand and wrist shattered from the collision. He didn't let go, just tightened his broken grip on Mirko's ankle and swung her like a club into Kamui Woods, whose extending branches wrapped around both of them reflexively, Crust generated crystalline shields between Izuku and the downed heroes, creating a defensive barrier. Ryukyu, now! Ryukyu descended in full dragon form, massive claws extended, weight enough to flatten buildings. She crashed down on Izuku with the force of a meteor strike, driving him into the ground, creating a crater 20 feet deep. Did we get him? Hawks asked from his position on the wall, finally pulled free, shoulder bleeding heavily. The crater exploded upward. Izuku rose from the depression, carrying Ryukyu's entire dragon body overhead, holding her massive form like it weighed nothing. Every muscle in his gray body strained, dead flesh animated by impossible strength. He threw her. Ryukyu's dragon form flew 200 feet before crashing through 3 buildings in sequence, demolition-level destruction from her uncontrolled trajectory. Fall back! Endeavor shouted, flames reigniting despite his injuries. Everyone fall back! We need! Izuku was already moving. He crossed the distance to Crust in 3 strides, machete raised. The heroes' shields formed instantly. Crystalline barriers rated to withstand tank shells. The machete shattered them like glass. One swing. Complete destruction of defenses that should have been impenetrable. Crust tried to retreat, generating more shields, creating layers of protection. Izuku walked through each one, systematic destruction, closing distance with mechanical inevitability. Please, Crust said. Back against a wall, shields failing. Please, I have a daughter. The machete took his head. No! Kamuiwood's branches lashed out, wrapping around Izuku's arm, trying to restrain him. More branches followed, then more, until Izuku was cocooned in wood that should have been stronger than steel. He flexed. The branches groaned, cracked, exploded outward in a shower of splinters that shredded Kamuiwood's body, leaving the hero bleeding from hundreds of wooden shrapnel wounds. Gang Orca renewed his sonic attack, desperate now, watching his colleagues fall one by one. The sound waves hit Izuku from behind, should have been more effective with the element of surprise. Izuku turned, walked toward the sonic assault, reached Gang Orca despite every decibel designed to stop him, grabbed the hero's head with both hands, and crushed. The sonic attack stopped. Gang Orca's body slumped. Izuku released it, letting the corpse fall, 7 heroes down. 5 remained, all injured, all terrified, all realizing the trap had reversed. They were the ones caught. Retreat, Endeavor commanded again, grabbing Hawks with his good arm. Everyone retreat now. This isn't working. We need. Izuku retrieved a length of rebar from the rubble, tested its weight, and threw. The improvised projectile flew faster than Hawks could track, faster than Endeavor could dodge. It punched through Endeavor's left leg, shattering his femur, pinning him to the ground. Go! Endeavor shouted at the others. Get out! Warn them. Tell them. Best Genist grabbed Hawks and Mirko, fiber threads carrying all 3 away despite his injuries. Edgeshot dragged himself towards safety, body still partially threaded. Kamui Woods limped after them, leaving a blood trail. Endeavor faced Izuku alone, leg pinned, flames flickering, knowing death approached. You were quirkless, Endeavor said, buying time for the others to escape. Weak. Worthless. You should have accepted your place instead of... Izuku's fist drove through Endeavor's chest, fingers closing around the hero's heart. Squeezing, Endeavor's flames died. His eyes widened. Blood bubbled from his lips as he tried to speak, to say something. Anything. Izuku pulled his hand back, heart still beating in his grip. He held it up, studying the organ with clinical curiosity, watching it slowly stop. Then he dropped it and walked toward the industrial zone's depths, leaving Endeavor's corpse behind, covered in the blood of Japan's former number 2 hero. The Hero Public Safety Commission's emergency session convened 3 hours after the industrial zone massacre. 8 heroes dead. Crust, Gang Orca, Endeavor, and 5 others who'd been part of the secondary response team. 12 more critically injured, including Hawks and Best Genist. The president stared at the casualty reports, face pale, hands shaking slightly. How did this happen? We underestimated him, Best Genist said from his hospital bed, fiber threads bandaging his wounds. Completely. 12 heroes attacked simultaneously with coordinated quirks. He killed 8 and walked away without significant damage. Endeavor hit him with prominence burn, Hawks added. Shoulder heavily bandaged. Maximum temperature. Direct hit. The river ghost walked through it like walking through rain, then punched Endeavor hard enough to send him flying through a building. His regeneration exceeds anything on record. a medical specialist reported. Wounds that should be fatal heal in seconds. We observed complete reconstruction of destroyed tissue, including brain matter and vital organs, and his strength. She pulled up analysis data. Conservative estimates put his physical power at 50 tons minimum, possibly higher. How is that possible? Someone asked. Even the strongest enhancement quirks can't. Because he's not using a quirk, Tsukauchi interrupted, arriving late to the meeting. At least not any quirk we understand. I've been researching similar phenomena. There are old stories, pre-quirk era, about people who died and came back wrong. Undead, animated by forces beyond scientific explanation. You're talking about supernatural resurrection, the president said flatly. That's not real. Neither is a dead boy walking around killing pro-heroes, Tsukauchi countered. But here we are. Izuku Midoriya died 3 years ago. Something brought him back. Something that gave him powers beyond any known quirk. And that something doesn't follow our rules. So, what do? The president demanded. If standard hero tactics don't work, if quirks can't stop him, then how? We don't stop him, All Might said, entering the room without invitation. We can't. I tried to tell you this. You didn't listen. Now, 8 heroes are dead because you thought overwhelming force would work against something that transcends force. Then what's your solution? The president snapped. Let him keep killing? No, we give him what he wants. Which is targets. All Might pulled up a different map. He's not hunting randomly, he's hunting criminals, Kohei, people who prey on the weak. People the system has failed to stop. Give him those people. Evacuate the industrial zone of civilians. Let him have his hunting ground. Stop interfering. That's surrender, the president said. We'd be acknowledging reality, All Might interrupted. He's already won. Tonight proved it. We can either accept that and minimize casualties, or keep throwing heroes at him until we run out of heroes. The room fell silent. Multiple officials looked at casualty reports, at analysis showing Izuku's capabilities, at the evidence of complete failure. There has to be another way, Hawk said quietly. Something we haven't tried. Some weakness we can exploit. His mother, someone suggested. Izuku Midoriya. If we could use her to... Absolutely not, All Might said, voice hard. We are not using his grieving mother as bait. That's what created this mess in the first place, treating people as expendable. Then what about the League of Villains? Best Jeanist said. They've had encounters with him. Maybe they have intelligence we don't. Maybe we could. Coordinate. You want to work with villains? The president looked skeptical. I want to survive, Best Jeanist said bluntly. This thing killed Endeavor. Endeavor, our second strongest hero, dead in seconds. If villains have information that could help, I'll swallow my pride and listen. The president considered this. All right, reach out to League contacts, see if they'll talk. Offer amnesty for information on the River Ghost. They won't help, Tsukauchi said. The League's been hunting him too, lost 20 members to his rampage. They want him dead as much as we do. Then maybe, Hawk said slowly, we're approaching this wrong. Maybe instead of trying to stop him, we try to redirect him. Point him at bigger threats, make him our weapon instead of our enemy. He's not a weapon, All Might said quietly. He's a victim we failed. A boy we let die, who came back wrong, and treating him like a tool is exactly the kind of thinking that created him. With respect, symbol of peace, the president said coldly, your philosophy isn't stopping the body count. We need practical solutions. If this river ghost wants to kill criminals, fine. We'll provide criminals, but we'll do it on our terms in our controlled environment where we can study him and maybe find a way to. Alarms blared throughout the building. Security alerts. Perimeter breach. Something had entered Hero Commission headquarters. Impossible, the president said. We have the best security in Japan. Nothing could. The conference room doors exploded inward. Izuku Midoriya stood in the doorway, hockey mask reflecting emergency lighting, machete dripping blood from the security team he'd carved through to reach this room. He'd followed them here, tracked them back to their headquarters, decided that eliminating the leadership might be more efficient than hunting individual heroes. 20 pro-heroes in the room activated quirks simultaneously. Fire, ice, energy projection, enhancement, transformation. Overwhelming response to a single target in an enclosed space. Izuku walked into the maelstrom. Best Jeanist threads wrapped around him, trying to bind. Hawk's remaining feathers shot forward as projectiles. 3 heroes with strength enhancement quirks charged simultaneously. 2 elemental users filled the room with flame and frost. Energy projectors unleashed concussive blasts. Everything hit at once. Combined firepower that should have destroyed a city block focused entirely on one undead boy. The building shook. Windows shattered, walls cracked. Smoke and dust filled the air, obscuring vision. When it cleared, Izuku stood in a crater where the floor had been, body scorched and frozen and pierced through with debris. Half his face was burned away, exposing skull. His left arm hung by tendons. Ribs showed through destroyed tissue. And he was healing. Impossibly fast, tissue regenerating, bones reforming, dead flesh reknitting itself with supernatural efficiency. "Hit him again," someone shouted. "Don't let him." Izuku moved. Faster than before, learning from the assault, adapting his tactics. The machete became a blur, cutting through heroes with surgical precision. One slash severed a hero's quirk-generating limbs. Another opened a throat. A third disemboweled someone mid-quirk activation. All Might transformed, muscle form emerging. Knowing this was it, the final confrontation he'd hoped to avoid. "Everyone out, now!" Heroes scrambled for exits. The president grabbed files and ran. Support staff abandoned their stations. Within seconds, only All Might remained, facing Izuku across a room full of corpses. "Midoriya," All Might said quietly, "I know you can understand me. I know you're still in there somewhere. This isn't justice. This is just more death." Izuku's head tilted. Those green eyes studied All Might without recognition, without mercy, without anything resembling the boy who'd wanted to be a hero. "I'm sorry," All Might continued. "For everything. For not being there when you needed protection. For not stopping the people who killed you. For failing you so completely that this is what you became." His fists clenched. "But I can't let you keep killing. Can't let this continue, so I'm gonna stop you. Whatever it takes." Izuku's response was to charge. All Might met him head on. Their fists collided with enough force to shatter windows 3 blocks away, to crack the building's foundation, to register on seismographs as a minor earthquake. They fought through the commission building, destroying everything. All Might's overwhelming strength against Izuku's impossible durability. Every punch that would have killed a normal person just made Izuku stagger, regenerate, continue attacking. All Might drove him through walls, through floors, through structural supports. Izuku responded by grabbing debris mid-flight and using it as improvised weapons. Steel beams swung like clubs, concrete chunks thrown with lethal velocity, broken glass deployed as shrapnel. United States of Smash, All Might's most powerful attack. Everything he had left, one for all, channeled into a single devastating punch aimed directly at Izuku's center mass. The impact lifted Izuku off his feet, sent him flying through the building's outer wall, through the air, crashing finally into a building 4 blocks away with enough force to collapse 3 floors. All Might stood gasping, steam rising from his body as his time limit approached. Surely, that was enough. Nothing could survive that. Nothing. The rubble shifted. Izuku emerged, body completely destroyed, chest caved in, spine visible, one leg bent the wrong way, and healing. Faster than All Might had ever seen, regeneration accelerating as if the damage was teaching his body to repair more efficiently. "No," All Might whispered. "That's not possible. That attack should have." Izuku limped forward, then walked, then ran, fully healed within 30 seconds of taking All Might's ultimate attack, charging back toward the confrontation with single-minded determination. All Might's muscle form failed. He deflated, time limit reached, left standing in skeletal civilian form as an immortal killing machine approached with a machete raised. This was it. This was how he died. Killed by the boy he'd failed to save, unable to protect himself without his quirk. The machete descended and stopped inches from All Might's throat, trembling. Izuku's entire body shaking with the effort of restraint, same as when he'd spared Bakugo, same internal struggle between the monster he'd become and the boy who'd once admired the symbol of peace. "Midoriya," All Might said gently. "I know you're still in there. I know this isn't what you wanted. Let me help you, please." For a moment, just a moment, something human flickered in those green eyes. Recognition. Pain. The ghost of a quirkless boy who dreamed of being a hero like All Might. Then the moment passed. Izuku lowered the machete, turned away, and walked back toward the industrial zone, leaving All Might alive for reasons neither of them fully understood. Behind him, Hero Commission headquarters burned, 8 more heroes dead, and society's faith in hero protection shattered beyond repair. The League of Villains' main hideout fell silent when Shigaraki Tomura received the news. Hero Commission headquarters attacked, dozen heroes dead, All Might defeated, all by one individual. This river ghost is becoming a problem, Shigaraki said, scratching at his neck with more intensity. He's making us look weak, making heroes look weak, disrupting everything. Perhaps we could use him, Kurogiri suggested. His power is extraordinary if we could recruit. He doesn't want recruitment, Toga Himiko interrupted, entering the hideout with her usual disturbing cheerfulness. I've been watching him, following him. He's beautiful. All that blood and death and... She stopped, noticing Shigaraki's expression. What? You've been stalking an unkillable murder machine, Shigaraki said flatly. Researching. I've been researching. Toga pulled out a notebook covered in sketches and observations. He hunts between midnight and 4 a.m., prefers industrial areas, targets criminals exclusively, never civilians, and he's really, really good at killing people. Her expression turned dreamy. The way he moves, the precision, the artistry. Focus, Shigaraki commanded. Can he be killed? Probably not. I watched heroes hit him with everything. He just keeps healing. Even complete destruction regenerates. Toga flipped through her notes. But I did notice something interesting. He hesitated before killing All Might. Showed restraint, like something inside him won't let him kill certain people. Weakness, Shigaraki said, interested now. Psychological limitation. We can exploit that. Or, Dabi said from his position in the corner, we could leave him alone and focus on our actual goals. This ghost isn't interfering with our plans. He's killing heroes and criminals indiscriminately. Why make him our problem? Because Master wants him, Kurogiri said quietly. All for One has taken an interest, wants to study him, understand his power, and possibly acquire him. Shigaraki's scratching intensified. Master wants me to capture him? Master wants you to try. Consider it a test. If you can bring in something that powerful, it proves you're ready for greater responsibility. And if I can't, then you're not ready. Kurogiri's tone left no room for argument. Shigaraki looked at his assembled league. Toga, Dabi, Twice, Spinner, Magni, Compress, 7 individuals with diverse quirks working together, supposedly capable of taking on Hero Society. Could they take on the River Ghost? We need bait, Shigaraki decided. Something that will make him come to us instead of hunting him in his territory. Something he can't resist. His mother, Toga suggested cheerfully. Inko Midoriya, if we kidnap her, he'll have to. No, Dabi's voice was firm. We're villains, not monsters. We don't use grieving mothers as bait. Since when do you have morals? Toga asked. Since I decided there's a difference between villainy and cruelty. Kidnapping civilians crosses that line. Dabi met Shigaraki's eyes. You want the River Ghost's attention? Attack something he protects. Force him to come to us on our terms. He doesn't protect anything, Spinner said. He just kills. He protects the weak, Kurogiri corrected. Kills those who prey on the helpless. That's his pattern. So we create a situation where the helpless are threatened, wait for him to respond, and spring our trap. Shigaraki considered this. It could work, probably wouldn't. This River Ghost had proven uncapturable by heroes with far more resources, but Master wanted an attempt made. Fine, Shigaraki decided. We stage an attack on a civilian shelter, something loud and public that he can't ignore. When he shows up, we hit him with everything. Decay, fire, cloning, compression, all our quirks at once. And when that doesn't work? Twice asked. Because, let's be honest, if heroes couldn't stop him, what makes us think? It'll work because it has to, Shigaraki interrupted. Master wants results. We're giving him results, even if it kills us. The civilian shelter in Musutafu's western district housed 50 people, families displaced by villain attacks, individuals recovering from trauma, those with nowhere else to go. Vulnerable, helpless. Protected by minimal security and society's general agreement that attacking such places was beyond acceptable villainy, the League of Villains attacked at 9 p.m. when the shelter had maximum occupancy. Dabi's blue flames erupted across the building's exterior, not destroying but threatening, creating visible danger. Compress expanded rubble into projectiles, launching them at the building's supports. Spinner wielded his collection of blades, looking threatening while avoiding actual civilian casualties. Twice created clones that swarmed the perimeter. "Everyone out," Shigaraki commanded through a megaphone. "You have 5 minutes before this building collapses. Evacuate now." Civilians screamed, ran, poured from exits in panic while heroes scrambled to respond. Police set up perimeters. Media drones captured everything for live broadcast. And in the industrial zone 3 miles away, Izuku Midoriya watched the news coverage on a scavenged television, watched villains threatening helpless people, watched society's most vulnerable being terrorized. This was bait, obviously bait. The League wanted him to respond, wanted to capture or kill him using these people as lures. He went anyway, because that's what heroes did. They saved people even when it was a trap, even when it meant walking into certain danger. And Izuku wasn't a hero anymore. But some part of him, some fragment of the boy who'd wanted to save everyone with a smile, still responded to people in need. He arrived in under 3 minutes, moving through the city with supernatural speed, machete ready, hockey mask gleaming under streetlights. The League saw him coming, spread out in formation, prepared their quirks. "Remember," Shigaraki said, "we're not trying to kill him. Just contain him long enough for Kurogiri to warp him to master. Don't take unnecessary risks. Don't engage alone. And whatever you do, don't underestimate." Izuku crashed through Spinner like he wasn't there, sending the swordsman flying into a building with enough force to crater the wall. Before anyone could react, he had, twice by the throat, lifting the clone creator off the ground. Shigaraki lunged, hand extended, decay quirk active. Izuku dropped twice, sidestepped Shigaraki's touch, grabbed the villain's wrist, and twisted. Bones cracked, Shigaraki screamed. Dabi's flames engulfed Izuku from behind. Maximum temperature blue fire hot enough to cremate normal people instantly. Izuku walked through it, grabbed Dabi by the face, and slammed him into the pavement hard enough to crack concrete. "Hit him together," Magni shouted, magnetism quirk activating, trying to pull the machete from Izuku's grip. "Don't let him separate." Izuku released the machete, let it fly toward Magni through magnetic pull, then charged after it, faster than the weapon, arriving at Magni's position before the machete did. He caught it midair and swung in one fluid motion. Magni's head hit the ground before her body did. "No," Toga screamed, knife already out, transformation active. "You killed her. You killed." Izuku's backhand sent Toga flying. She crashed through a car windshield, transformation failing, bleeding from multiple lacerations. Compress tried to compress Izuku into a marble. Quirk designed to work on anything regardless of size or durability. The quirk activated, space distorting around Izuku's body. For a moment, it seemed to work. Izuku's form compressed, shrinking toward marble-sized containment. Then he expanded violently. The compression reversed, space decompressing explosively, the quirk's effects nullified through sheer physical force. Compress flew backward from the backblast, quirk overloaded, bleeding from his eyes and nose. Twice his clones swarmed Izuku, dozens of copies attacking from all angles. Izuku tore through them systematically, each clone destroyed with single strikes, bodies vanishing as their existence ended. The real Twice tried to run. Izuku caught him in 3 strides, machete raised. Kurogiri's warp gate opened between them. "Enough! Retreat! Everyone retreat!" The remaining League members scrambled through the portal, Shigaraki cradling his broken wrist, Dabi barely conscious, Toga crying, Compress bleeding, Spinner limping, Twice traumatized. Kurogiri started to close the portal. Izuku dove through. He emerged in the League's hideout, rolling, coming up ready to fight. The League members scattered, terrified, realizing their safe space had been compromised. "Close it," Shigaraki shouted at Kurogiri. Close the portal and... too late. Izuku was already inside, already hunting, already killing. He moved through the hideout like death incarnate, finding League members in hiding spots, eliminating them with brutal efficiency. Compress tried to compress the entire room, quirk overload attempt. Izuku grabbed his arm mid-activation, broke it, ended the threat. Twice generated maximum clones, hundreds filling the hideout. Izuku cut through them like wheat, systematic destruction, never slowing, and I guess never tiring. Dabi unleashed everything he had, flames that scorched his own body, maximum output that would kill him from the recoil. Izuku walked through it, grabbed Dabi's throat, and squeezed until the flames stopped. Spinner attacked with all his blades simultaneously. Izuku disarmed him, literally tearing the swordsman's arms off at the shoulders. Spinner collapsed screaming. Toga tried one last transformation, becoming a perfect copy of Izuku himself. Look, I'm you. Izuku's fist went through her chest. The transformation failed. Toga's eyes widened in shock and pain as her quirk couldn't save her from this. Only Shigaraki and Kurogiri remained. Shigaraki backed into a corner, decay quirk ready, but knowing it wouldn't matter. Kurogiri tried to open an escape portal, but Izuku was too close, too fast. Please, Shigaraki said, all pretense of villainy gone, just a terrified man facing unstoppable death. Please, Master wanted to meet you, to understand you, too. Izuku grabbed Shigaraki by the face, prepared to crush his skull the same way he'd crushed gang orcas. Stop! The voice came from everywhere and nowhere. Power saturated the air, oppressive, overwhelming, ancient. The hideout's walls began to crack from the pressure of it. A portal opened. Different from Kurogiri's warp gates, darker, older, edged with power that predated quirks. Through it stepped a figure that made the air itself seem heavier. All for one, in the flesh, despite supposed confinement, despite all the security supposedly keeping him imprisoned. Izuku Midoriya, all for one said, voice distorted by his destroyed face, I've been wanting to meet you. Izuku released Shigaraki, turned to face this new threat with the same clinical assessment he gave all prey. You're wondering how I'm here, all for one continued. The answer is simple. I go where I want. Do what I want. Because power allows that freedom. He took a step closer. And you have power. Extraordinary power. Power that defies my understanding, which is rare and fascinating. Izuku raised his machete. I'm not here to fight, all for one said, raising empty hands. I'm here to offer you something. Purpose. Direction. A target worthy of your abilities. Izuku tilted his head, listening despite himself. You hunt criminals because society failed you, because the weak needed protection and you're providing it through violence. All for One's smile was audible despite his ruined face. But you're limiting yourself, focusing on small-time villains and abusers when the real cancer exists at society's heart. The Hero Commission. All Might, the system itself that creates people like you by crushing those without quirks. Izuku remained motionless, processing. Work with me, All for One offered. Not for me, with me. I'll point you at the true villains, the ones who created the society that killed you, the heroes who perpetuate quirk supremacy, the leaders who benefit from maintaining systems that destroy the quirkless. He paused. Together we can burn it all down, rebuild something better, create a world where what happened to you never happens again. For a long moment, silence filled the hideout. Shigaraki watched, terrified. Kurogiri remained ready to evacuate. All for One stood confident, certain his offer would be accepted. Izuku's response was to charge. His machete swung toward All for One's neck with lethal intent. No hesitation, no consideration of the offer, just pure rejection delivered through violence. All for One caught the machete with his bare hand. The blade stopped centimeters from his throat, held in place by strength that matched Izuku's own. I see, you're not interested in philosophy, only in killing. How disappointing. He released the machete and activated multiple quirks simultaneously. Air pressure slammed into Izuku from all sides, crushing force that would have pulverized normal bone. Izuku staggered but didn't fall. All for One followed up with kinetic amplification, multiplying the pressure 100-fold. Izuku's body compressed. Bones cracked. Gray flesh tore from the internal pressure. He dropped to one knee, machete falling from his grip. You're strong, All for One acknowledged. Durable, but you're not invincible, and you're certainly not my equal. More quirks activated. Rivets quirk pinning Izuku in place. Forced quirk activation attempting to trigger quirks Izuku didn't have. Cellular disintegration targeting his regeneration factor. Izuku's body began breaking down at the cellular level, flesh dissolving, bones crumbling. The regeneration that had saved him from everything couldn't keep pace with All for One's combined assault. This is the difference between natural power and accumulated power, All for One said, walking closer. You have one gift, immortality and strength. I have hundreds of gifts, collected over centuries, refined into perfect combinations. He crouched before the dissolving Izuku. You never stood a chance. Izuku's remaining hand shot out, grabbed All for One's ankle. Squeezed with everything left, All for One's confident expression shifted to surprise as bones in his ankle shattered. Impressive. still fighting even while dying, but ultimately, Izuku's grip tightened. His body might be dissolving, but the core, the thing that made him immortal, remained intact. Fueled by rage that transcended physical form, animated by vengeance that wouldn't die regardless of what quirks attacked it, he pulled. All for One lost balance, crashed to the ground. Izuku's dissolving body lunged forward, what remained of his jaw opening, teeth closing on All for One's throat. Kurogiri's warp gate separated them. Izuku bit into empty air. All for One appeared on the other side of the hideout, bleeding from his ankle, shocked by how close he'd come to death. "We're leaving," All for One commanded. "Kurogiri, evacuate everyone, now." The warp gates opened. Shigaraki scrambled through. Kurogiri began gathering the injured and dead League members. All for One paused at his portal, looking back at Izuku's dissolving form. "You should have died just now. Any normal person would have, but you didn't. You adapted, fought through cellular disintegration through pure willpower." He smiled. "You're fascinating and terrifying. I look forward to our next meeting." The portals closed. The League vanished. Izuku collapsed in the empty hideout, body dissolving into component elements, cellular structure breaking down completely. For 30 seconds, nothing remained but gray sludge on the floor. Then the sludge began moving, reforming, cells reconstructing themselves from raw matter, bones growing from nothing, flesh knitting together, organs reforming in proper sequence. Izuku Midoriya rose from his own dissolved remains, completely healed, stronger than before. The experience of being broken down to nothing and reforming had taught his body new limits. Shown him that even complete cellular destruction wasn't permanent. He couldn't be killed. Not by heroes, not by villains. Not even by All for One himself. He retrieved his machete from where it had fallen, walked out of the destroyed hideout into Musatafu's night, and continued hunting. Because that's what he was, what he'd become, what he would always be. Unkillable, unstoppable, eternal. The news of All for One's confrontation with the River Ghost spread through both hero and villain communities within hours. The details varied. Some reports claimed All for One had defeated him, others said it was a draw. Still others insisted the River Ghost had somehow won, despite All for One's overwhelming power. The truth was simpler. Both had survived, both had learned the other's capabilities, and both knew the next encounter would be even worse. The Hero Public Safety Commission convened yet again, this time with drastically reduced attendance. The previous meeting's attack had killed 6 more high-ranking officials. Security had tripled, but no one felt safe. "We have to consider evacuation," one official said. "Move commission operations to a different city, somewhere the River Ghost can't reach." "There is nowhere he can't reach," Tsukauchi said flatly. "He tracked us to headquarters, he infiltrated the League of Villains hideout, he moves through the city like he's part of it. Distance won't help." "Then what will?" the president demanded. "We've lost 32 heroes to this thing. Our second strongest hero is dead. All Might can't stop him, All for One can't stop him. What options remain?" All Might stood slowly. "We stop treating him like a villain and start treating him like what he is, a victim we failed who became something beyond our ability to control. We evacuate the industrial zone. We stop putting heroes in his path. We let him hunt his targets without interference." "That's surrender," someone protested. "That's survival," All Might corrected. "Every time we confront him, heroes die. Every time we try to contain him, he breaks free and kills more people." So the definition of insanity is repeating the same actions expecting different results. He looked at each official in turn. "We've been insane. Time to try sanity." "And what happens when he runs out of criminals to hunt?" the president asked. "When he's killed every villain in Musatafu and starts looking for new targets?" "He won't," Tsukauchi said with absolute certainty. "I've analyzed his pattern extensively. He only kills criminals, people who harm the innocent. He's had opportunities to kill civilians, heroes doing their jobs, even officials like us. He spared everyone except those who prey on the weak." "He killed 32 heroes," the president said pointedly. "Who were trying to kill him first?" Tsukauchi countered. "Self-defense. Even in his state, he distinguishes between threats and innocence. That's not a mindless killing machine. That's someone with rules, boundaries, a code." "A code that involves machete murders," someone muttered. "Better than no code at all," Tsukauchi replied. Look at the crime statistics. Since the River Ghost started hunting, violent crime in his territory is down 70%. Human trafficking has virtually stopped. Domestic abuse reports have dropped because abusers are terrified he'll find them. He pulled up data. He's doing what we claim to do, protecting the innocent, just with permanent solutions instead of arrests. The room fell into uncomfortable silence. So we let him continue, the president said slowly. Official policy becomes non-interference with the River Ghost's activities. We classify him as what? Vigilante? Villain? Force of nature? Natural disaster, Hawks suggested from his wheelchair, still recovering from shoulder injuries. That's what he feels like. You don't fight a tsunami or earthquake, you get out of its way and minimize damage. Fine, the president made a note. Official classification, natural disaster class threat. Heroes are to avoid direct confrontation except in defense of civilians. The industrial zone is designated as his territory. Criminals are on their own there. She paused, and someone needs to tell his mother. All Might nodded. I'll handle it. Inko Midoriya's apartment had become a shrine to grief. Photos of Izuku covered every surface. His room remained untouched, preserved exactly as he'd left it. She'd spent 3 years hoping he'd come home, knowing he wouldn't, unable to let go. All Might's visit gave her the truth she'd been dreading. He's alive, she whispered, tears streaming. My baby is alive. After a fashion, All Might said gently, but Midoriya-san, you need to understand, he's not the boy you remember. He's changed. Fundamentally, what he's become, it's beyond anything we can help. I don't care. Inko's voice gained strength. I don't care what he's become. He's my son. Let me see him. Let me try to reach him. Please. I can't guarantee your safety. I don't care about safety. I care about my son. She grabbed All Might's arm. Please, if there's any chance he remembers me, any fragment of the boy I raised, I need to try. All Might looked at this grieving mother and saw the same determination that once lived in her quirkless son, the same refusal to give up despite impossible odds, the same core of strength that society had failed to value. I'll arrange it, he said finally. But Midoriya-san, prepare yourself for the worst, because what you'll see won't be the son you lost. 3 nights later, All Might escorted Inko to the industrial zone's edge. Midnight, empty streets, the River Ghost's traditional hunting time. Wait here, All Might instructed. I'll signal him. If he comes, if he's willing to see you, you'll have your chance. He walked into the industrial zone alone, unarmed, vulnerable in his skeletal civilian form, and he called out, Midoriya, your mother is here. She wants to see you. His voice echoed off abandoned buildings. Silence answered. I know you're listening, All Might continued. I know you're watching. She's come all this way. The least you can do is show yourself. Movement in the shadows. Izuku emerged from between buildings, hockey mask gleaming, machete in hand. He stood 40 feet from All Might, motionless, waiting. Your mother wants to speak with you, All Might said. Will you let her? Will you give her that much? Izuku's head tilted, considering. Then slowly, he nodded. All Might returned to where Inko waited. He's agreed, but please, be prepared. Inko walked into the industrial zone with the determined steps of a mother seeking her lost child. She saw the figure in shadows, recognized his height, his build, the green hair visible beneath the hood. Izuku, she called softly. Baby, it's me, it's Mom. Izuku remained motionless, watching her approach with eyes that held no recognition. I know what happened to you, Inko continued, moving closer. I know what they did, what you became, and I'm so sorry. Sorry I couldn't protect you. Sorry I trusted a system that failed you. Sorry for everything. She reached the edge of the shadows where Izuku stood, close enough to see details now, the gray skin, the scarred tissue, the complete absence of the life that had once animated her son's face. Can you hear me? She asked. Can you understand me? Izuku nodded slowly. Do you remember me? Her voice broke. Do you remember being my son? Another nod, slower, uncertain. Then come home, Inko pleaded. Please, whatever you've become, wherever you've been, you're still my baby. Come home and we'll figure this out together. We'll find a way to help you, to give you peace, to... Izuku raised the machete. Inko froze. Behind her, All Might tensed, ready to intervene. Izuku held the weapon up between them. Then deliberately, he dropped it. The machete clattered to the concrete. He reached up with both hands and removed his hockey mask. Inko gasped. The face beneath was horrifying. Scarred, deformed, gray as a corpse, barely recognizable. But the eyes. The green eyes still held fragments of the boy she'd raised. Mom, Izuku's voice was ruined, barely audible, vocal cords damaged beyond normal repair. Can't. Come home. Not anymore. Why not? Inko stepped closer despite the horror of his appearance. Why can't you? Dead. The word came out like grinding metal. Been dead 3 years. This isn't life. This is something else. I don't care, Inko said, reaching for him. Dead or alive, you're still my son. Still my... Izuku stepped back, avoiding her touch. No, not safe. Don't control it. The hunger, the rage, what I've become. His hands clenched. Kill people. Can't stop. Don't want to stop. They deserve it. Some might, Inko conceded. But this isn't you. The real you wanted to save people, not kill them. Wanted to be a hero, not a monster. Izuku's laugh was horrible. Too late. That's exactly what I am. What society made me. What I chose to become. He looked at his gray hands. And I'm good at it. Being a monster, killing people who hurt the innocent. Making sure what happened to me doesn't happen to others. By murdering them, by removing them. Permanently. No trials that fail. No sentences that end. No second chances to hurt more people. Izuku met her eyes. The system doesn't work, Mom. You know it doesn't. Look at what it did to me. Look at what it creates. Someone has to fix it, even if that someone is a dead boy with a machete. Inko realized with horror that he believed it, completely. Whatever he'd become, whatever drove him, was absolute conviction that his path was right. Come home, she tried again. Please. We'll find another way. A better way. You don't have to. I do. Izuku picked up his machete, replaced his mask. This is who I am now, what I'll be forever. Can't change it, can't stop it, can only direct it at people who deserve it. No one deserves what you do to them, Inko said desperately. Everyone I kill deserves exactly what they get. Izuku's voice held absolute certainty. And they're lucky it's quick. Lucky I don't make them suffer the way they made their victims suffer. He turned away. Go home, Mom. Forget about me. Grieve for the son who died. Because he's gone. Only this remains. Izuku, please. Goodbye, Mom. He walked into the shadows, melting into darkness. Tell people I'm at peace. It's a lie, but tell them anyway. And he was gone. Vanished completely. Leaving Inko standing alone in the industrial zone with All Might approaching from behind. I'm sorry, All Might said quietly. Inko collapsed to her knees, sobbing. Not for the son she'd lost, she'd been grieving him for 3 years, but for the confirmation that he was truly gone, that what remained was something else, something beyond her ability to reach, or save, or love. He's really dead, she whispered. My baby is really dead, and what's wearing his face is just a monster, All Might finished gently. Created by our failures, animated by rage we allowed to fester, and now beyond redemption. He helped her stand, guided her back to the zone's edge where a car waited to take her home. Behind them, in the industrial zone's depths, the river ghost resumed his hunt, because that's all he was, all he could be. All he would ever be. The weeks following Inko's failed reunion marked a shift in Izuku's hunting pattern. He'd confirmed to himself what he'd already known. The boy he'd been was dead. The connections he'd had were severed. All that remained was purpose. Eliminate threats to the innocent. He expanded his territory. The industrial zone was no longer enough. Criminals had learned to avoid it, relocating operations to supposedly safer areas. But there was nowhere safe. Not from something that could track prey across entire cities, that never tired, that never stopped. A quirk trafficking operation in eastern Musutafu vanished overnight. 19 members found dead, arranged in positions that suggested they'd been killed mid-transaction. Buyers and sellers eliminated with equal prejudice. The only survivor was a young girl they'd been selling, unharmed, wrapped in a blanket, left outside a police station with a note written in blood, "Protect her." A corporate executive who'd been covering up industrial accidents that killed quirkless workers was discovered in his penthouse office, impaled on his own desk with documents detailing his crimes pinned to the wall beside him. No security footage showed entry or exit. Just a corpse and evidence of long-term systematic murder disguised as workplace accidents. A hero, a licensed, active pro-hero named Deathstroke who'd been credibly accused of assault against quirkless individuals but never charged due to lack of evidence, disappeared after a patrol. His body turned up 3 days later in the river where Izuku had died. Poetic justice delivered through brutal execution, that last kill sent shockwaves through hero society. The River Ghost had killed heroes before, but always in self-defense, always when they attacked first. This was different. This was premeditated murder of a pro-hero who'd been corrupt but technically innocent in legal eyes. He's escalating, Tsukauchi reported to the drastically reduced commission, moving beyond reactive killing to proactive elimination, investigating targets, gathering evidence, executing judgment. He killed a hero, the president said, voice shaking. A licensed pro. That changes everything. Does it? All Might asked quietly. Deathstroke was guilty. Everyone knew it. We all saw the evidence. But he had connections, good lawyers, and the system protected him. The River Ghost just did what we should have done, removed a threat. That's not justice, the president said. Neither is letting guilty heroes walk free because of legal technicalities, All Might countered. I'm not defending vigilante murder, but I understand it. When the system fails repeatedly, people or things find alternative solutions. So what do we do? Hawks asked. If he's killing heroes now, where does it stop? Who's safe? Innocent people are safe, Tsukauchi said. That hasn't changed. He's not hunting randomly. Every target has a history of harming the helpless. Deathstroke assaulted 17 quirkless individuals over his career. The trafficking ring sold children. The executive caused 43 deaths through negligence. These aren't innocent victims. They're people who escaped justice through conventional means. And you're okay with that? The president demanded. With a supernatural killer executing people without trial? I'm saying I understand it, Tsukauchi replied carefully. And I'm saying that unless we fundamentally change how society handles quirk-based abuse of power, the River Ghost will continue finding targets. Because they exist. In abundance. Throughout our supposedly just system. The uncomfortable truth settled over the room like a shroud. Recommendation? The president asked tiredly. Continue non-interference policy, Tsukauchi said. Focus on improving the actual justice system so fewer people deserve his attention, and pray he maintains his current boundaries instead of expanding further. And if he doesn't, then we have bigger problems than one unkillable vigilante. We have systematic failure at every level of hero society, and maybe we deserve what's coming. 3 months after the Hero Commission massacre, Musutafu had adapted to its new reality. The industrial zone belonged to the River Ghost, undisputed, unchallenged. Crime in that area had dropped to virtually zero. Criminals operated elsewhere, avoiding the territory where death walked without mercy. But the effect rippled outward. Other cities reported vigilante activity inspired by the River Ghost. People taking justice into their own hands, eliminating local criminals, claiming to follow his example. Most were caught, arrested, prosecuted. None had Izuku's immortality or power. But the idea had spread that conventional justice wasn't enough, that permanent solutions were sometimes necessary. Hero society found itself defending a system it knew was flawed against alternatives it feared were worse. Public opinion fractured, some viewing the River Ghost as a monster, others as necessary evil, still others as outright hero doing what official heroes couldn't. Bakugo Katsuki graduated UA's hero program with top marks, driven by guilt and determination to be the hero Izuku had wanted to become. His first patrol took him through the industrial zone, reckless but deliberate. He wanted to see it. The place his greatest mistake haunted, he found Izuku standing on a rooftop overlooking the district, machete resting against his shoulder, hockey mask reflecting sunset colors. Deku, Bakugo called up, or whatever you call yourself now. Izuku looked down, recognized him. Remained silent. I made it, Bakugo continued. Became a pro hero, #1 in my class, ready to save people. He paused, like you wanted to do, before. Before we killed you, hung unspoken in the air, Izuku's head tilted. I'm not asking forgiveness, Bakugo said. I know I don't deserve it. Just wanted you to know I'm keeping my promise. Being the hero you couldn't be. Saving people you can't save. Making it mean something. Izuku watched him for a long moment. Then, deliberately, he nodded, acknowledgement, approval. The closest thing to forgiveness an immortal killing machine could offer. Will you ever stop? Bakugo asked. The killing? The hunting? Will there ever be enough? Izuku's answer was to turn away, drop off the building's far side, vanish into shadows, because there would never be enough. Never be an end. Evil was infinite, constantly renewed, eternally requiring opposition. And Izuku had become that opposition in its purest, most permanent form. He would hunt forever, kill forever, exist forever in this liminal state between death and purpose. That was his curse, his fate, his eternal punishment and mission combined. The River Ghost, the Reaper, Jason Voorhees reborn, unstoppable, unkillable, eternal. 4 years after his death, Izuku Midoriya had become legend. The story parents told children about the consequences of cruelty, the nightmare criminals feared in dark alleys, the force that heroes acknowledged but couldn't control. And somewhere in Musutafu's forgotten spaces, in the darkness between streetlights, in the abandoned places where society's failures accumulated, he hunted still, always watching, always waiting, always ready to deliver permanent justice to those who thought themselves beyond reach, because evil never stopped, and neither did he. The final confrontation came on a night when Musutafu least expected it. 5 years after Izuku's death and resurrection, All for One made his move. Not against heroes, against the River Ghost directly. He'd spent those years studying, preparing, gathering quirks specifically designed to counter Izuku's abilities. The challenge came through public broadcast, All for One's voice echoing through every screen in the city. Izuku Midoriya, the dead boy who haunts this city. I offer you a choice. Face me in single combat, or I will kill 100 civilians every day until you do. You have 24 hours to decide. The ultimatum froze hero society. All Might prepared to intervene, but All for One's next words stopped him. This is not a challenge for heroes. This is between monsters. Any hero who interferes will watch their colleagues die by the hundreds. Izuku's response came at midnight. He walked into the designated location, an empty stadium on Musutafu's outskirts, alone, armed only with his machete, facing the greatest villain of the modern age. All for One waited in the stadium's center, surrounded by darkness, power radiating from him in waves. You came. Good. I was hoping you'd choose combat over letting innocents die. It means you still have humanity buried beneath the monster. Izuku said nothing, just walked forward, machete ready. I've prepared specifically for you, All for One continued. Gathered quirks that target your regeneration, your strength, your immortality itself. You're about to face something designed exclusively to kill unkillable things. He smiled. Let's see who's truly unstoppable. Izuku charged. All for One met him with a barrage of quirks. Air cannon at maximum power, sending Izuku flying backward. Rivet quirk pinning him mid-flight to the stadium wall. Forced activation quirk attempting to trigger quirks Izuku didn't have, the attempt backfiring, causing cellular confusion. Decay quirk spreading through the rivets into Izuku's pinned body. Izuku's flesh began crumbling, not just wounded, actually decaying at the molecular level, turning to dust, spreading through his body faster than he could heal. This is called cascade decay. All for One explained. It doesn't just destroy flesh, it destroys the cellular memory that allows regeneration. Your body will forget how to heal, forget what it was, forget everything except dissolution. Half of Izuku's body had turned to dust. His left arm was gone, his chest cavity exposed, half his face dissolved, but his right hand still gripped the machete. His remaining green eye still burned with determination. He tore free from the rivets, losing more flesh in the process. Charged forward despite half his body missing, swung the machete with his remaining arm. All for One caught the blade with a force manipulation quirk, stopping it centimeters from his throat. Impressive, but ultimately futile. You're dying, truly dying this time. Your regeneration is failing. Accept it. Izuku's response was to release the machete, grab All for One's wrist with his remaining hand, and bite. His teeth sank into All for One's flesh, tearing, pulling, refusing to let go even as the decay spread to his jaw. Persistent, All for One acknowledged, pain evident in his voice. He activated an electric quirk, sending lethal current through Izuku's body. The dead boy's muscles spasmed, but his bite didn't release. All for One tried another quirk, then another. Fire, ice, kinetic energy, cellular manipulation, everything he had, all focused on making Izuku let go. Izuku's body dissolved further. Only his head and part of his torso remained, literally falling apart from multiple quirks destroying him simultaneously. But his teeth stayed locked. What are you? All for One demanded, genuine fear entering his voice for the first time. What drives this? What powers this level of determination? Izuku's remaining green eye met All For One's gaze, and in that eye, All For One saw something terrifying. Not just rage or vengeance, but absolute conviction that he would win. That nothing, not decay, not pain, not death itself, would stop him from destroying this threat. You can't be killed, All For One realized, not because of regeneration, not because of immortality, but because you've transcended death completely. You're not alive anymore, you're just purpose, hatred given form, vengeance incarnate. Izuku's bite tightened. All For One felt bones in his wrist grinding. Fine, All For One said. If you won't die, then I'll imprison you. He activated a quirk he'd been saving, dimensional displacement. Enjoy an eternity alone in empty space. Goodbye, River Ghost. Reality warped. Space folded. The quirk designed to send targets to a pocket dimension where nothing existed, activated at maximum power. And failed. Izuku remained, his teeth still locked on All For One's wrist, his body still dissolving but somehow present, refusing displacement just as he'd refused death. Impossible, All For One breathed. Nothing resists dimensional displacement. Nothing. Izuku's jaw clenched harder. All For One felt his wrist bones snap. In desperation, All For One activated every quirk simultaneously. Every power he'd accumulated over centuries, all unleashed at once on a single target in a final attempt to destroy something that refused to die. The explosion of power cratered the stadium, destroyed the building, created a blast visible from space. When the dust cleared, All For One stood in the crater's center, bleeding from hundreds of wounds, wrist shattered, breathing hard. Izuku's head lay 5 feet away, separated from a body that had been completely destroyed. The machete rested nearby, blade scorched but intact. All For One limped toward the head, preparing to crush it, to ensure this threat ended permanently. The head's eye opened. All For One froze. No, you're destroyed. The head's jaw moved, teeth clicking together in what might have been a laugh. Then the remains began regenerating, not gradually, explosively. Flesh erupting from nothing, bones growing from the destroyed head, a new body reconstructing itself in seconds from just the remaining head. Izuku rose, fully healed, stronger than before. Every attempt to kill him had just taught his body new limits, shown him what he could survive. He was beyond death now, truly, completely, absolutely immortal. Not through regeneration, through transcendence. He existed because he chose to exist, because his purpose demanded existence, because nothing in reality could override that fundamental truth. All For One tried to run, activated warp quirk, attempting to escape. Izuku caught him, grabbed him mid-warp, pulled him back, canceled the quirk through sheer physical presence. Please, All For One said, all pretense of confidence gone. Please, I can give you anything. Power, targets, purpose. Izuku's fist went through All For One's chest, found his heart, crushed it. All For One gasped, tried to activate healing quirks, regeneration, anything. Izuku's other hand grabbed his face, began crushing, slowly, methodically, making it hurt, making it last. All For One screamed, used his final strength to activate one last quirk, emergency beacon calling for help, announcing to the world what was happening. Heroes arrived in minutes. All Might, Hawks, Best Jeanist, Mirko, every available pro-hero surrounding the crater, watching as Izuku Midoriya slowly killed the greatest villain of their age. Stop him, someone shouted. He's going to kill All For One. Good, All Might said quietly. Let him. But All For One is beyond justice, beyond imprisonment, beyond anything except death. All Might watched the execution with grim satisfaction, and the River Ghost is delivering that, permanently. Finally, Izuku finished crushing All For One's skull. The villain's body went limp. His quirks failed. His legendary power ended. Dead. Truly dead. Killed by something he couldn't understand, couldn't defeat, couldn't escape. Izuku stood over the corpse, breathing hard, covered in blood, having defeated the most powerful villain alive through sheer refusal to die. He looked at the assembled heroes. They looked back. No one moved to attack. No one moved to arrest. They just watched, acknowledging what he'd done, recognizing that he'd accomplished what they couldn't. All Might stepped forward slowly. Thank you for removing that threat, for doing what needed to be done. Izuku tilted his head, studying All Might. I know you don't want thanks, All Might continued. Don't want recognition, but you saved thousands of lives tonight, prevented countless horrors All For One would have inflicted. That matters. Izuku picked up his machete, turned toward the industrial zone. Wait, All Might called. Where will you go? What will you do now? Izuku looked back. His expression behind the hockey mask was unreadable. But his answer was clear in the gesture he made, pointing at the city, at the darkness where criminals still operated, where the innocent still needed protection. His hunt would continue, would always continue. Because evil didn't end with All for One. Evil was eternal, and so was he. He walked away, melting into shadows, leaving behind a destroyed stadium and the corpse of Japan's greatest villain. The River Ghost had won, proven himself unstoppable, demonstrated that nothing, hero or villain, quirk or power, individual or organization, could end his mission. And Musutafu learned to accept its unkillable guardian, its monster, its nightmare that protected the innocent and destroyed the guilty without mercy or hesitation. Years passed. Izuku's legend grew. The body count climbed into hundreds, then thousands. All criminals, all documented threats, all people who'd harmed innocents and thought themselves beyond reach. He became myth. The story parents told children, the fear criminals felt in dark places. The last defense when all other defenses failed. He was the River Ghost, the Reaper. Jason Voorhees reborn in a world of quirks and heroes, unstoppable, unkillable, eternal, and he would hunt forever. Because some purposes transcend death, some missions transcend humanity, some monsters are necessary. And Izuku Midoriya, the quirkless boy who'd wanted to be a hero, who died for that dream, who'd returned as something beyond heroism, would never stop protecting those who couldn't protect themselves, even if it meant killing everyone who threatened them, even if it meant existing forever in this twilight state between death and purpose, even if it meant being the monster hero society had created. He would hunt, forever, always watching, always waiting, always ready, because evil never rested, and neither would he. The final scene of Izuku Midoriya's story found him standing on the same river embankment where he died. 5 years, thousands of kills, legends told and retold. His mother had passed away 2 years ago, natural causes, peacefully in sleep. He'd attended her funeral from the shadows, watching but not approaching, honoring her memory the only way he could. Bakugo had become the #1 hero, actually earned it through saving people, protecting the weak, being the hero Izuku had dreamed of becoming. The Hero Public Safety Commission had reformed, implementing systems to prevent the abuses that had created him. Too late for Izuku, but maybe not too late for future victims. Musutafu had learned to coexist with its unkillable monster, accepted that some forces exist beyond control, adapted to a world where justice sometimes wore a hockey mask and carried a machete. Izuku looked out at the polluted river that had killed him, felt no connection to the boy who drowned here. That person was gone. Dead. Replaced by something that transcended human limitation through sheer refusal to die. He was alone, had been alone since resurrection, would be alone forever. But solitude was acceptable. Purpose was enough. Protecting the innocent was enough. Killing the guilty was enough. Being the nightmare that evil feared was enough. He turned from the river, machete gleaming, hockey mask reflecting city lights, and resumed his eternal patrol through Musutafu's dark places. Hunting. Forever hunting, because that's what monsters did. And Izuku Midoriya, the River Ghost, the Reaper, the dead boy who refused to stay dead, was the biggest monster of all, created by society's failures, sustained by society's continuing need, eternal because some purposes transcend mortality. He would hunt until evil ended, which meant he would hunt forever. And somewhere in that eternity, perhaps he'd find peace. But probably not, because peace was for the living. And Izuku Midoriya wasn't living. He was something else entirely, something darker, something necessary, something unstoppable, the River Ghost. Forever. End.
And now, it's time for our Patreon shout-out. For our pro-hero tier, the rising stars lighting the path of justice, Ancient Chant, and Javon McQuire. And for our mighty symbol of peace tier, Ab, Peter Hamilton, Freddie Rose, Omega, Toxic Rune, Akuma Noakami, Chris Talley, Ethe Voice, Alexander Thompson, Remorsefuls, Blackvein, Nicholas Barnes, Joshua Hedrington, Aaron Abercrombie, Drift SK Eater, Akeno Himajima, Corey Tokars, Jan, Zero Hope 3656, Devin Black, Rowdy Rich, King of the Pirates, Crow, Daniel Sharp, Roberto Ramos de Cristina, Dasher Games, Joe Bros, Aiden Schmidt, Mason Edwards, Ray Von Crimson River, Dante Alistar, Adam Yonkers, Blood Saints, Zdana Cathay, Zeph, Assassin 24, Howie 60, Ignacio, Albert, Carlos Terry, Rafael Tehran, Kevin Hall, Omar Cousin. You're the ones who keep the fire of justice blazing.
And finally, our Hope of the Universe tier. Marl, Spintown, Jaden Garrett, Greg Green, James, Quanyan Thompson, Big Fro Pro, Juan, I'm Calver, Colsey. You're the legends who stand above all, the shining hope that guides every hero onward. Heavy breathing and the sound of dragging footsteps. They thought they could stop me. They were wrong. The hunt never ends. I'll always come back. Always. If you want to witness more terror, more blood, more hunts through this twisted world, subscribe and join me in the darkness. There are so many more who need to pay. So many more screams left to hear. Until next time, run while you still can.